Welcome back to another episode of Collector's Quest. I'm Tyler here with Johnny. Johnny, what's going on? Just say hi. I don't care what you have to say. I'm going to launch into something.
Okay, hi.
Hey, Johnny. I got some feedback on the last episode. Honestly, last episode, I think more feedback than most episodes. Like, definitely more than most episodes. Like, some negative feedback and constructive
feedback. Is it because we talked about the Wii for 3 hours?
I mean, it could be. I thought everyone would just skip that episode because it was about the Wii, which we are a show focused towards collectors. And besides you, I don't know anyone like seriously collecting the Wii.
Okay.
But I did get feedback from the Game Doctor on Instagram, who told me he thinks that we got tunnel vision and we missed a big thing why anything is being collected. It's cheap fun, a journey. There's a checklist, copious. You can hunt. He's right, because it is a fun thing that you can actually like get out into, even like GameStop. Like, I've even done this with Wii. Get into GameStop and hunt for games at GameStop that you don't have. And everything I've ever bought at GameStop for the Wii has been clearly less than $10.
Yes, absolutely.
So, I've even done that because, yes, I've gone to like physical stores and they still have cheap Wii games that fucking no one's buying. And there is that element to it. And the reason I didn't think of that is because obviously past 3 years, I'm buying 95% of my stuff online. And when it comes to Wii, there isn't a hunt element to the Wii because you can put any Wii game into eBay and it's probably there to buy. Most likely, it might be more than you're willing to pay, because if a game is worth, quote unquote, $3 and there's a copy on eBay for $6.99 plus shipping, a seller might not be willing to sell it for any less than $6.99 plus shipping, even if the game is completely worthless. So there is still the value in going out there to hunt for it. But when I'm thinking of the hunt, I'm thinking of, save searches that I have to just run every day until like a copy comes up. So there's not that element to the Wii, but there is, I think, hunting physically for games because they will be so much cheaper in person most of the time.
Yeah, I mean, I think we definitely maybe missed on that a little bit. Also, like when we think about back to when we were hunting stuff, we were hunting the things that we like best: Super Nintendo, Nintendo, Genesis, that kind of stuff. And it was that because we've been doing it for a long time, it was out there. So I do sometimes forget that journey is part of it, that people like that aspect. And it's true, yeah. Like if you just like hunting stuff, and it's not like the Wii is terrible. I mean, I literally have 1,400 Wii games in my collection, which is a gross amount. But there are some good titles. Yeah, it's dumb. But there are some good titles. And I do forget, like you said, we've been locked up for a little while, or at least during a good part of this. And then, I've forgot even though we were just in Portland, like there's all these local shows that I just haven't been to. So yeah, I can see that. That's a good reminder.
The second part of this message was that it has the makings of the things that launched NES collecting: manuals lost, case art damaged, discs destroyed, people literally throwing things out. I don't know if I fully agree with that, because I know there were plenty of people like me who ripped their cardboard boxes literally in half to get at the games. There is an element of Wii games that are just dirty and damaged and missing manuals. And, there's tons of poor condition Wii games. I think it's just that there's so many of them that we don't see any rarity at all, even for the nicer condition stuff.
Yeah, especially when they went over to the recycled cases, then the quality of Wii cases got really bad. In some games, that's the first system where games stopped coming with manuals too. So that starts to happen. So some people don't even know that the manual isn't missing. It's just that it never had a manual.
Yeah. Do people appreciate the conditional rarity of certain disc games? Not even certain disc games, but disc games in general. I feel like when just going after checklist stuff, I have bought stuff with like GameStop stickers on it, or games with like crinkly cases. And nowadays when I'm going after that stuff, I would just hold out for the nice looking case. Like I will spend $5 or $10 more to get a game that doesn't look like I have to clean it and goog on it and all this stuff. And even after doing that, I know it's not going to be as nice as just the game that was kept really nice. And Wii especially, just because it was owned by kids, and some of these games just looked like they were literally stored in dirt. I don't know what's going on. It's just harder to find that kind of nice stuff. And it will never be as hard as like finding boxes that aren't creased or dented, but there is probably more an element of conditional rarity than I give DVD games.
Yeah. Also, just the funnel that is GameStop for all of this stuff. GameStop, like what I'm gonna find interesting about collecting, and I mentioned this on that episode, was what do people do? Because GameStop murdered Wii games. They murdered them. They took the discs out, they stack cases to the ceiling, so everything's getting crinkly. People go up and handle them extensively, so everything looks terrible. They were opening new games. Like, you don't know what's supposed to be paired with what. All the condition is trashed, and like so many games got funneled to GameStop because this was the era where people were like, I'm selling my games to GameStop. 100%. They were, and GameStop was driving all these wild promotions and stuff, and people found ways to capitalize on GameStop sales and like buy stuff from them and then sell it back to them to make money. So yeah, the irreparable harm that GameStop did to Wii collecting and just in condition and in the ability to tell what is supposed to go with what is crazy. So I don't know. There was so much in an era where there was already people collecting things. That system specifically got a lot of just damage from carelessness and people looking at it and being like, no one's collecting this. We don't care about this thing.
Sure.
They also did this to DS games and GBA games too. Like, if you want to talk about lost boxes and like a generation doomed, look at all the GBA games that just got all their boxes thrown away, and all the DS ones where they're just like, just throw out those cases. We only want to display these little cartridges.
Yeah, what the fuck was that about? Like, they're not big cases. What, they couldn't find room in their store. They're not even like a ton of them that they ever had in stock anyway.
No, because they were all in malls and there's these tiny little shelves, right? So you've got an economist back there, or an accountant. They're talking about, but you're talking about how much does it cost per square inch? That's what these accountants are doing. They're like, okay, our shelf space costs this much. We get so many used games. The churn has to be like this. If we can churn all of these games in a footprint that's like 3x3 square up to the ceiling, awesome, let's do that.
Johnny, doesn't demand have any factor in that? Because I never bought DS games from GameStop, obviously, because they threw away all the cases. But there's so many fucking amazing games on DS, Advance Wars and Harvest Moon and all these fucking RPGs that I would buy them if they had the box. Meanwhile, we're talking, this is the late 2000s. Yeah. There are like 99-cent games on Xbox 360. They're Just Dances and they're Maddens of the world. Just throw out everything that's 99 cents, literally put it in the dumpster and make room for the DS cases that you're selling for like $30 to $50. It doesn't make sense.
It also becomes about target market, right? So the DS was more of a kid system, right? And so was the Wii. So you would see them stacked like in the middle shelves and those like spinning kiosks. And while Xbox and PlayStation were getting the wall slots, right? Because that's where, if you look at the GameStop market, they're not catering to like 10-year-olds and below. They're catering to like that 11 to 16 range and 16 up to like 25-year-olds. Like that's their bread and butter spots. So like anyone younger, and they're like, oh, the DS is going to be for kiddies. So, they aren't going to have as much money to spend. So we got to put the stuff out with the people who got the money.
I mean, also, you couldn't browse those cartridges. If you were buying a DS cartridge in 2009 GameStop, you would have to know what game you were buying. You can't pick up the case, look at the back, be like, oh, is this an interesting game? Let me look at a few screenshots of it. There's nothing. You just have to be like, oh, Pokemon Soul Silver, I want that one. I know that's a good game. But it's fucking DS. There's 2,000 games. It's the perfect system to browse a library and just look for something interesting, which is something I would constantly do in game stores at the time. I'd never go into a game stop and be like, I know exactly what I want in the used game section. I'd be like, I have $25. Let me buy one or two games that look interesting.
So this is something I've talked about on the show, and it's like, I think you've heard of it, right? The coercion of space.
The coercion
Right.
of space, maybe?
Yeah, the coercion of space is, and this is, I'm not using it in the exact right terms, but if you think about places like Las Vegas or IKEA where they like funnel you through a certain way, that same kind of idea of like where product placement is, coercion of space is kind of born out of the idea of product placement in stores and the economy per square inch of what it costs in a retail space. If you look into what people do for when they're designing a retail space and where the money is going to go and what it is, like the DS thing just smacks of some accountant that said, we can maximize this amount of square footage and we can get this kind of return on this space. So, and that's why you would see some things like when they get a premium location, what you put at eye level. If you've ever walked through a GameStop and you're like, why isn't this shit alphabetical? Why can't I see it? Because they want to put their super promo ones that are all going to be at about eye level. It's, if you go to a grocery store, the good stuff that they want you to buy is at eye level. Some of the lesser brands, they like tuck away. So GameStop's being very small. They had people super designing the space and giving out retail plans to like, oh, this is where this kind of stuff should be. I know some stores were allowed to just like go ham and kind of do whatever they wanted, but like you get space planners for these, where like retail space planners, and that's like a serious job, but they don't care about collectors. They care about what the accountants have told them. This area needs to make this much money and it can if we do this. So somebody had the genius idea, and I'm going to tell you, it's like, someone who cares about numbers, not about games, was like, yeah, DS games, who gives a shit? Just sell the little cartridges.
All right. I mean, I maybe it's just the people I hang out with, but there's not a single person. I mean, I talk to collectors, obviously, but no one I talk to, even non-collectors, people who are playing, is like, yeah, I want to go to GameStop and buy games without the case. Even just like regular people who buy video games, if they talk about a GameStop, they're like, yeah, I don't want the generic case. I want the original box for my game. Even though I'm not a collector, I don't want the shitty GameStop box.
Look, GameStop is trash. Look how they sell their new games. Look at the weird lawsuits they've had. They're like, yeah, we opened up these new games for you. It's like, hey, fucko, I didn't ask you to open my new game. And when you buy it online, you're like, buy new, and you get an open one. They're like, oh, it's new. And I'm like, no, that's not new. Now it's open. This is not, it might be never used, but it is not used, though, new.
By like an employee.
Yeah, because the employees were allowed to do it. So that's like the other thing. It was just this shitty scam. GameStop always did this kind of shit. GameStop is the word. Look, I got a lot of reasons I dislike GameStop. You know this. I also hate the idea, like, hey, yeah, you can go sell your used games, but when you're talking about like, why do we always see these Maddens and you see those same bros complaining about like only big Call of Duties and only these big, why aren't we taking chances on indie games? Which was a bigger argument before people could directly release games, onto like Xbox Live and stuff. Before that era really took off, you had a lot of these arguments. So it's like, well, because all these little developers, they can't get any traction because every time you sell a game back to GameStop and then they make money on it 3 times by selling it used, that little indie publisher didn't make any money. GameStop made money. The indie publisher didn't make it. So if you love games, buy them from the publishers or buy them new. Don't buy them used. With new games, old games, who gives a shit what you're doing? I'm not saying go buy new old stock, but this was like specifically of that era. Now they have different avenues, but yeah, that's, GameStop pioneered that idea, and I fucking hated it.
I think one of the best arguments for the all-digital future is that it will either hopefully force GameStop to go out of business, which would be the ideal scenario, or it will force them to radically change their business model because they can no longer live on buying and selling used games for the modern era, which I'm not looking at GameStop financials. I assume the majority of their revenue comes from like games released in the past 5 years that people are buying and selling, games in the like $30 to $40 range, or maybe like $20 to $40 range, right?
Yeah, but the problem with that, Tyler, is that remember when the Xbox was coming out, the Xbox 360, was it the one that was going to come out and they were going to go all digital?
Yeah.
And people fucking lost their shit about it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because they couldn't sell. They're like, we don't own our games. And like what they were really saying is, I want to be able to sell my used games.
we went through this on PC. Everyone complained for like 3 years on PC, and people held on to their physical media. I was there. I was buying games on DVD, and I never put a DVD in the drive. I just would throw the code into Steam. You know, after a while, everyone's just like, all right, yeah, I buy my PC games on Steam now, and no one even thinks about a disc. Like, we went through this pain 10 years ago. Eventually, it will happen to consoles.
Yeah, we went through this, and we should have just bared down and got rid of it, especially with things like Game Pass and whatever the PSN network stuff is now. Like, it does not matter. You can just, like, you have so many games available for cheap now. This idea that you need to be able to sell your game back to get value is kind of dog shit. Like, but this is what people are like, I need to buy this $60 game and I need to be able to get $20 or $7 back out of it. But all it did was foster a bunch of people who were like, I bought this $100 or $60 game and now it's not worth anything and I'm mad. Like if I sell it to GameStop, it's worth $1. Yeah, just like, let's never do this again. Please go all digital. Like, let's just stop.
I mean, I'm only saying this because I don't care about selling my modern games back or anything. If I'm buying a modern game, like at this point, I'm buying it strictly to play. I don't really care about the collector's aspect. I think modern collector's editions are fucking ridiculous. Baldur's Gate 3, probably my most hyped game. It has a $300 collector's edition. Literally, what the fuck is the name of the people who make I don't remember the name of the developer, but the guys who made Divinity Original Sin 2, my favorite computer RPG against all odds. The guy who likes like the oldest, dumbest shit made a game in 2017. It's my favorite one. And they're making Baldur's Gate 3, the sequel to another one of my favorite RPGs. And like, I'm not buying the collector's edition because it's $300 and it doesn't come with a copy of the game, I think. Either it doesn't come with one or it comes with a digital copy. Anyway, forget that. I'm saying I want all digital so GameStop goes out of business so we can have a flourishing small business of game stores that come to my town, because I've got like a game store in like the next 2 towns over, I think. And then there's another one in Greensboro, which is like an hour away, and another one in Wake Forest, which is like 25 minutes away. But like, I don't have a game store in my town. I don't have a game store anywhere kind of near my town because there are like 5 GameStops that I could drive to before I hit an independent game store. But once GameStop goes out of business, maybe we can get some independent game stores. And all I want independent game stores for is to buy fucking old games. Because once GameStop is like, guess we're not carrying Wii games anymore, guess what? It's going to be fucking horrible to buy those Wii games.
Yeah, I mean, it's already getting there.
Yeah, like when GameStop stopped carrying PS2 and GameCube and all that shit, all of a sudden, like, you can't go and buy it for $5. So at a minimum, you're spending shipping on it. And they're way less available. Just everything became harder to find and more expensive once GameStop stopped carrying it. I mean, because GameStop was honestly, for like the really cheap stuff, when you're talking about like the $3 Wii games, the $5 Wii games, like they are selling themselves short. It is ridiculous to operate a business selling a Wii game for $3. But I mean,
yeah,
I'm fine with them doing
preposterous.
It. But
it's preposterous that a $50 game became $3. Like, yeah, like minimum. Like, I don't know, there should have been just some like, okay, this is $10. But that model also comes from, okay, we did put it at $10 and no one would buy it, but we can't just keep holding it. So what do? We just keep lowering the price point until we attract some weirdo like myself who's like, all right, now it's cheap enough, I'll buy it.
Yeah, and I don't know what's going on with, like, I've definitely noticed prices for good stuff at GameStop stopped reducing at some point. Like, if I walk into GameStop and I'm looking for, like, some good stuff, it's going to be like $20 or like at the minimum $10. Whereas I remember going and specifically getting like AAA Nintendo published GameCube games for like $3 to $10 once they were old enough.
Yep.
Anyway,
those days are done.
Fuck GameStop, go out of business so we can get some small game stores, and it'll be like having like a record store. Everyone loves their local record store. We'll get a bunch of like the physical game weirdos. Everyone else is sitting on Spotify. It's fine. But then the weirdos want to go down to the video game store, dig through the bins of old video games, come home with some new cool stuff. That sounds so great. The record store economy seems so fun. Every town has their own record store with their own specialization and like their own owners and their own community. I have none of that with games. I had that with trading card games. Like, there was definitely flourishing scenes with trading card games. What if we could have that for video games? GameStop is cock-blocking us from having that for video games.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I'm giving you nothing to work with.
I know.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I've been pushing like let's just get to the digital future, and then like all video game releases that are physical can just be these weird, awesome boutique releases that only the big fans buy, and then you like your collection is just made up of like really cool stuff you like. I'm here for it. Let's get to there.
I mean, the problem with that is that, like, only the big fans buy weird boutique releases. Then you come to $300 Baldur's Gate 3. Johnny, I'm a big fan. I like buying PC games. What the fuck is that? And I like the meme releases. Like, I'm saying, like, hey, release $1,000 PC game, or release $1,000 collector's edition just to see what happens so I could laugh at it. But, like, I don't know. When it comes to a game I actually want to buy, I'm not going to spend that money.
Well, maybe we need to just like live in that world for a little bit and fill it out or feel it out and see what happens.
What's ce.baldursedition.game? Okay, it's not going to sell out because it's a pre-order. Yeah, you wouldn't want this to sell out. So for $300, you get a Steam code, an art book, 32 stickers, a certificate.
Hold on. Did you say stickers to me?
Oh, you get stickers. It's got like a chibi anime art style of the Baldur's Gate characters.
Okay, I want you to know it's not 1980. I'm not a 7-year-old girl. I don't maintain a sticker album. I don't want fucking stickers. What the fuck am I supposed to? If it's a collector's edition, you can't peel the stickers because it's part of the collector. Who and what does this do and who is it for? I fucking hate the idea of modern junk they put in collectibles. It's so stupid. Please stop doing this with collector's editions. I'm all in. I'm all in on the what's the one with the candles? Diablo 4?
Why?
Because at least those look neat. You like put them on your table.
That doesn't come with the game. It's just a merch box.
I know.
It doesn't even come with the digital game. It's like not even pretending to be a collector's edition.
It's terrible. It's just Diablo stuff. Anyways, go on. What else does this shit box come with?
You get a cloth map, something that used to come in PC games
every
by
edition.
Default.
Yeah, all of my Baldur's Gates that I have, like I don't own a ton of PC games, but all of my editions of Baldur's Gate have a little cloth map. Like I remember hanging the one with the sword coast on it, and just like, oh look, here it is.
You get a metal D20. You get 3 packs of Magic the Gathering, and you get D&D character sheets.
What?
Oh, because they got the Baldur's Gate expansion, right? Or the D&D expansion?
Yeah. So is it the Commander one or the original one? And are they collector's packs or regular?
It says Battle for Baldur's Gate booster packs.
Oh.
Also, this doesn't feel like a throw-in. This feels like a fucking advertisement to include Magic the Gathering packs.
Well, it's also all over the place, right? Because they're like, oh, you want to play Baldur's Gate? Well, here's a D20, so maybe you can go play tabletop, or you can go play some card games.
It includes character sheets. So character sheets, that's just an advertisement to play D&D.
Yeah, that's what the D20 and then they're like, and then maybe you can go play some Magic the Gathering. Yeah, it's because it's owned by WotC.
What about and then it comes with the statue because it's a fucking collector's edition. What about this?
A statue of what?
What?
What's it a statue of?
It's a statue of a Mind Flayer versus a Drow elf. It's also called Mind Flayer versus Drow Battle Diorama. So like maybe this isn't even like characters. Like if it was like some named Mind Flayer versus Drist Stewart, and then like, I mean, not that I would care anymore, but it's weird that it doesn't have characters because who wants a statue that's just like cool D&D stuff and not cool D&D stuff of characters I know.
Oh yeah, this statue is actually kind of terrible too. So it's probably the statue looks to be polystone, and the Mind Flayer has his tentacles all over the place and this like cape that whips around. If this is polystone, all this shit is really fragile.
Great.
So
I mean, it better not be like for the price they're charging.
Well, I mean, it will be. So that's like, and also when you've got like little bits like this, they like just snap off real easy, or it's like a plastic mold.
Well, Johnny, I've got an update. This is limited to 25,000, but only the first 15,000 will be including those Magic the Gathering packs.
Oh, cool. cool. God, these stickers are awful.
They're really bad stickers. I don't know what's going on. Like they don't even fit the whole theme. Like it's a really cool, like it's a pretty generic but cool, like detailed fantasy art theme for all the items included. And then the stickers have just like this terrible chibi anime art style. It just seems like an intern designed them and they're like, we could put these in the collector's edition, guys. And they just went with it.
You forgot the tadpole keyring.
No, I said I called it a keychain.
Yeah, and the D20 is oversized. Gross.
I like a big D20, but it's not a spin down, so I can't use it for Magic, which is the only thing I would use an oversized D20 for.
You're right. So, yeah, this is terrible. All right. Is this the part of the podcast where we cut it and then make a video?
I don't know. Sometimes people say we ramble about random shit too much.
Yeah.
To be clear, if someone bought this, like, I don't blame you. This is going to be like the best game ever made. As far as my expectations, I'm expecting this to be like literally the best game I've played in my life. But I'm not spending $300 on this shit. All right. Johnny, what are we actually talking about this episode?
Hey, Tyler, what time of year is it?
Christmas time.
Christmas time?
So we're heading up on Christmas, which means we're about 2 or 3 weeks late for end of year things because the year ends at the end of November, according to like Spotify and Game of the Year awards and all that kind of stuff. So
yeah, we're doing our end of the year. Yeah, we're doing our end of the year closer to the end of the year, but not actually. The year is not completely over. It's almost over. It's basically over, but not quite.
I mean, everyone's taking off the next 2 weeks to go, not work. So they have to get all their content out now because literally once we hit like January 3rd,
it's that dead
no
zone.
One's going to care about end of the year stuff anymore because it's a new year. Who cares about last year?
Oh, so they're not regular boosters. They're set boosters.
I don't know what that means, Johnny.
Okay. That means it's some booster cards you can't draft with. It's a booster that's not draftable.
I mean, not that it matters if it's a throw-in for a thing, but what the fuck's the point if you... What?
But why like three packs is what you would draft with. Also, like, can you, if that's part of the collector's edition now, can you open it or do you have to keep these sealed so that your collector's edition is in the best possible shape? I hate this idea.
Okay, hold on. So the booster packs, they only come with the first 15,000 of 25,000. What if they just throw the booster packs on top of the box and they're not even part of the box?
Then yeah, you can open them.
Also, if that's the case, then you could just buy 3 Magic the Gathering booster packs.
Yeah, and I want you to know that those will cost you roughly $13
each.
Total.
Oh, okay, yeah.
No, it was like a commander set, so it was a little more expensive. So, I mean, let's just say it was $20. Let's say it was $20 at the high average, because that was a very unsuccessful set. Who cares?
That's why they got them. They're like, oh, we got leftover stock. Quick, put them in the new Baldur's Gate game coming out. Because that game's coming out in like summer, so those will be like those won't be vintage. They'll just be like old packs by the time this game comes out.
Old packs. Super old. Anyways, you couldn't draft with this set anyways. Not really. You could. You did. Drafting, this was a commander set. We don't need to talk about that.
I don't care. I don't even care.
Who gives a shit?
Yeah.
Yeah. Move on. Anyways, we're going to talk about end of year stuff, and I'm sorry I dragged us back into that. So, Tyler, normally at the end of the year, if you recall, we talk about what our good buys were, what our bad buys were, if we bought something shameful, what the coolest thing we bought. How'd we do? If we had any goals, how did we do on our goals? What are our goals for next year? And like, what's our outlook? What are we doing going forward? And then this year, I also have a full download history of my eBay purchases since 2003. And I spent extra time on it and categorized everything into themes because they just give you like a large dump, but I like broke it up into games and by system. So if you want, we can explore that a little bit and you can ask me some questions and I can tell you what my journey has looked like according to eBay. Mind you, I don't just buy games off of eBay, so you'll hear these totals and they're shocking and upsetting. And remember, I'm a degenerate who spends way too much money on video games. Like, just get that in your mind. This is not something
I'm shocked and appalled, Johnny.
Yeah, no one should aspire to this. And like, really, I'm a degenerate, but then there's people on levels well above what I'm doing. My whole eBay total is less than, I don't know, a couple of Mario games that people have paid for sure. So, but keep that in mind that I don't advise spending like I do on games, nor do I think this is normal or good. Anyways, so we can get into some of that if you want. If you want to explore my eBay history with me, and I, like, hey, Johnny, how much did you spend on eBay on games for the Super Nintendo or the Dreamcast?
All right. Well, let's wait till we get to that. Why don't we talk about...
That's going to be the end. That's going to be the very end.
Okay. Why don't we talk about how we felt about this year in general in terms of collecting games? So we're starting out. Let's just go back to January. Like, we're in full-on market panic, FOMO, absolute insanity from 2021. Like, 2021, one of the craziest years in game collecting, because 2020 was a huge bump in everything. And then for whatever reason, the beginning of 2021, it was just another bump again. Everything just doubled again. It was the craziest shit. And that's if I'm not remembering incorrectly, that was the year we had like the $1.5 million Super Mario 64. There was a $2 million Mario Brothers, Super Mario Brothers.
Stacks on stacks.
Just like there's a bunch of like just absolute nonsense sales. I guarantee the $20,000 Poké Park Wii game we talked about was from the middle of 2021. I think July 2021 was like the absolute peak of madness, honestly. And then that continued. Like, we didn't know that it had peaked in the middle of 2020. Maybe we knew it by the end of the year, but I was still feeling like pretty bad at the beginning of this year. But this year is, I mean, we're not back to how things used to be, but this is probably the biggest turning point in the video games market ever because of how crazy things have been the past couple of years. Because we are now in a serious downturn in prices, which doesn't bring us back to the 2019 normal prices, but it is the biggest downturn I think we've ever seen in the market. In a market that has more or less only gone up.
Only, like, all systems are in a downturn? What's going on? Are we talking averages? What's happening?
I mean, I don't know. You can go to price charting, and I don't like price charting data, but all the major systems that you would think of like that are expensive with cardboard boxes, I'm talking Game Boy, N64, Super Nintendo, NES, all of those have pretty significant downturns. And it's not like they're going off a cliff, but you look at these price graphs, like every price graph looks like a logarithmic curve up when you look at any video game, except for like super modern stuff that is, kind of dumped down to the bottom. And now that once you hit 2022, they level off and go down either a lot or a little bit, which is interesting on a graph that otherwise pretty much never goes down. The only stuff I'd say really isn't in a downturn is really cheap stuff in general. Like Xbox 360, the average game right now is $11, and that's like pretty flat. I think PS2 has been like a little bit up even. Yeah, PS2, let's see what it started. PS2 basically went from like $12 to $13 this year, which like makes sense. Like those games are so cheap and PS2 is so good, it makes sense that those aren't dropping, I think.
I mean, also, if we just take into the cost of shipping going up, like, people don't do this, but like usually the shipping cost gets evaluated into part of the cost of the game because a lot of people run the cost of, they look at games compared to, this is $13, $7 shipping, and then this is $20, buy it now, free shipping. Yeah. So the price winds up getting, so if shipping costs dramatically went up, which they did, we should expect just a rise because of that, right?
I mean, it depends how price charting tries to get that out, but I'm sure they fail a lot because of things like free shipping and all that. So,
yeah.
But yeah, it regardless of how the price graphs deal with that, like it becomes harder to transact in cheap games when things like that happen, and like cheaper games probably get thrown into lots more often as shipping prices increase.
Well, some game, and we talked about this a little bit, but some games just become not worth it to sell. They're just not worth their time. If a game is $2 and you have to charge $6 shipping, like, what are you getting out of that? And I just encountered a bunch of that as I was finishing the Wii. So yeah, like,
and what would be great? It would be great if I had a local game store to dump all that shit off at. And if they're $2 games, I don't care if they give me $0.25 a game. I just don't want to like throw some of this stuff out, or just like every time I have these games, just like donate them to Goodwill. And then Goodwill's like, oh, great, you gave me more fucking copies of Madden 2001, just what I needed.
I think our weather vane is always NES. Did I miss it? Did you say what the average price of NES was at the start of the year and what it got to?
Yeah, so
and mind you, I just want to caveat: the beginning of 2022, things were still going up. They went up for a little while before. So
I think
at the beginning of the year, January 1, prices were still on an upward trajectory. So there will so even if you're like, oh, it only went down like $1, like we should mention what the peak was, the start, the peak, and then what it's at now.
So this is maybe interesting. I don't know if this is a case of like Complete in Box lagging behind the sealed market, but I swear if we looked at like Heritage Auction prices, I swear those peaked in like July of 2021, which is, I think that's like when the $1.5 million Super Mario 64 sold. And Complete in Box prices peaked in April. So I don't know if that says anything, like the craziness of the complete, if like, I don't know, does sealed prices affect Complete in Box, or am I just trying to make up a relationship that doesn't exist?
I don't think it does. I think some things, I think it will drive, when the price gets too high, I think it drives some people into the CIB market, but I don't really think there's a direct correlation. And I could be wrong. And I want to stress very much that I have not looked into that enough to say with any certainty, but I just don't think they're the same type of people. So I like one shouldn't really affect the other to me.
Okay. So based on my remembering, so sealed stuff peaked in last summer, but Complete in Box NES peaked in April, or actually May of 2022. So it started the year, Complete in Box NES, $46 a game, went up to $48 a game, which not a huge rise, and now it's down to $45 a game. We're not talking a crazy dump off a cliff for NES, especially considering November 2020, this was $31 a game on average. It is nice to see a consistent downtrend for 6 straight months, more than 6 months. Because like we've had downtrends before, but the last time things looked like this was 2017 when...
I mean, I think you're fudging over it a little bit because it sounds like it dipped $1, but at the beginning of the year, I mean, no one wants to hear about decimal points too much, but like 45.86. So it wasn't actually $46. And then the peak gets all the way up to 47.40. And then the end of the year only finishes down. It finishes 45.40. So
I mean, I think NES,
like a 40 cents dip. Any dip is significant, I think, is your point. The fact that it went down is, is the point.
It's not as much from the beginning of the year to the end of the year. That's an arbitrary point. It's really from the peak, when it peaked to what it is now. So like Super Nintendo peaked at $40 Complete in Box average, and now it's down to $37.50. Which
when was the peak in Super Nintendo? Because NES it was April.
Yeah, it was June. I think NES was May actually, but I mean it's basically the same thing.
Yeah, that time frame, that small window. But yeah, that's when things start to get a little crazy for people.
And we mentioned this before, and like this just goes back to us needing data that makes sense. There's a new website coming out. I believe I mentioned it, minty.gg. That's Minty with a Y. I didn't name this site. But they're trying to be the replacement for Game Value Now, which, as far as I know, just doesn't work anymore, and price charting. And I've asked them a few questions on Instagram. I've spoken with the guy who's starting it up, and like all these things, like tracking like cartridge conditions, like how are we gonna know, like, you know, if there's a completely busted Super Mario Brothers 3 cart and like a nice condition Super Mario Brothers 3 cart. One sells for $3, one sells for $15. Those go into the same pool of data. How do you separate that out? I don't know exactly how he's going to start it because the site hasn't opened yet, but apparently he's going to solve those problems that we have with sites like price charting. Doesn't exist yet. I think it's coming early next year. So it's something to keep an eye out on. But going back to our busted price charting data, Complete in Box N64 games and loose N64 games took a nosedive at the same time on March to April 2022, and I don't know why. It seems like a fake price must have been deleted from the database or something. But so the year started for N64. Games were $34. They went up to $35.50 in March, and then in April, $27.50. It dropped like $8 on average in a month, and has only dropped further down to $25. So it looks like N64 dropped off a cliff, but it also looks like that's like a price charting coding error or something.
Yeah, I'm suspicious on that one.
The interesting thing is that the complete in box and loose market, they drop at the same time. So like there's a cliff for both of them, and there's less of a cliff for loose, but it's still definitely there. So I don't know. Weird.
I wonder if it was just a dueling, like maybe there was a couple games like not being charted, or they changed the way, or like what they added, or
it could be.
Away.
I mean, because they did that thing, or was this Game Value Now, where they like their website was just like broken for months or a year, and then like the price charts just like they stay the same, and then they like jump because they didn't have the data. Oh my god,
it looks like we had a COVID spike. Yeah. Look, data is hard. Maintaining data is hard, and getting it right and distributing it and then making it so people can understand it is a hard job, which is why people pay professionals.
Yes. But regardless of these price graphs and all this stuff, actually, you know what? I want to talk about one more price graph, Johnny. It's Atari 2600.
An anomaly.
January, $29. End of the year, $36. One of the only consoles that like significant spike upward. And most of that came after October. So
I don't understand what's going on. Like, it is shooting straight up.
Here's what happened. Everyone went to Portland and there's like, where are the Atari games? This is where I went to buy Atari games. And since they couldn't find them at Portland, they went to eBay and bought all of them because now we can't buy Atari games at conventions anymore. So we're spiking up prices like 20%. Yeah, I can't really explain it either.
I don't.
But yeah, regardless of stuff like that, regardless of our broken price graphs that we're talking about now, definitely a lot of cooler temperaments. I don't see anyone FOMOing that they have to like complete their set right now, that they have to buy the rarest thing right now, or they'll never have it. In like the sealed and graded Facebook groups, like people in despair, people making fun of how bad the market is over there. But it's nice. It's really nice to not FOMO. I'm really digging the vibes of the down market, I will say.
Oh, I'm glad you're digging the vibes.
I'm digging the vibes because I think 2021. I don't have the data like you do. You literally have your data. I maybe spent the most I ever spent on games in 2021 because everything was going up in price so fast, especially between 2020 and 2021 when everything just like instantly doubled in like a couple months. That I felt like, oh my god, if I don't find and collect everything, they're just gonna double again at some point. I gotta lock down all these things that are kicking around my brain to collect one day. The day is now. Let me get all this stuff right now. I mean, I'm not saying that's the right way to think about these things, but now that the market is down and people are more pessimistic from what I'm seeing, this is when I should be buying the most aggressively. But really, what it does to me is it makes me relax. Like, whew. I can pace my buying. I can do things according to my budget. I can budget correctly my purchases. I can think about things more before I buy them. I can wait for the right copy to show up before buying them. And that's really how I felt this year. And it's a great change. I love it, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely feel some of that relaxing. Also, I have some of the intrinsic fear of like what is going to happen to the market. Like when you look at where we are, like as a global economy, and you think, okay, are we tanking? Have all these pressures really been propping up a false economy? And I'm not an expert at all, and I don't know, but I know there's a lot of people talking that way, which sows fear and doubt. And whether they're right or wrong, I don't know. Some people are saying it's fine, and I don't know who to believe. But I know people are afraid of a recession, and that fear has leaked into the market for good or ill. And, I'm like, oh, well, maybe I should slow down because what if something happens?
I mean, yeah, just from like a personal financial perspective, just like have more money to spend on not games. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like, that, and like, we can't also discount that, like how I hate that everything is, I don't like to talk about politics, but somehow somehow even the cost of goods has become a political topic. Oh, inflation, whose fault? I don't care. But the cost of goods, again, right or wrong, I'm not interested in like the politics of it. The cost of goods has gone up, right? So if I have to spend more money to buy milk, and I do buy milk because I have a young child and that's what he drinks. I like turkey. I eat a turkey sandwich every day for lunch. It literally went from $4 a pound for me to $7 a pound this year. So I have to like look at that spending too. So like just more of my money is going places it wasn't going before.
Yeah. So. I mean, maybe that's it too. This is totally tangential, but like I know the inflation rate is like, 8%, 9% something, and that is high. But man, the food prices, man, stuff is up like 50% on all the stupid shit I buy.
Dude.
Or at least those are the ones I notice. I'm sure there's a bunch of stuff I buy that's not up that much. But I used to not buy Cracklin Oat Bran, the best cereal ever, because it was $5 and I knew I could get, Frosted Mini Wheats for $2 or something, and I'd be just as happy with those almost. But now I walk down the cereal aisle and like all the cereals I like are like $7. It's nuts. This has been your inflation update from the Collector's Quest podcast.
Yeah. You're welcome for this bit of financial podcasting. Gross. It's like, I just want to talk about fun stuff like games, but unfortunately the landscape that is fun of, the fun land of games has become, rife with investors and, terms like market uncertainty and global economy and alternative assets, which I don't enjoy saying, but
that stuff. For what we're buying, the idea of alternative assets does not affect what we are buying.
No, but we're talking about what the year did as a whole, right? Like we're not just talking.
Sure.
Like you and I went and did something. The market went one way, and we're like, "Woo, let's go do something else. Let's go waste our money in another way." Is what you and I did, and I think we'll discover that as we talk about what we bought.
Yeah.
Is that a good transition, or do you want to keep talking about that?
You said that we shouldn't have to worry about the idea of impending global economic collapse and apocalypse. But that is an interesting topic to the realm of any collectible of, if some financial apocalypse happens, like what happens to games? And whatever we predict would be entirely wrong. But I just know that at this point.
We did that one. Yeah, we did one time. And I thought we had all the best data and examples of why that should be true, and didn't happen. But also, maybe that was the anomaly. Maybe we got caught in the anomaly and now this is the reality. But who knows? It's all the Matrix. I would tell you, like, now I can't even bring up the Matrix because there's all this like weird, the weird like pseudo movements of, a red pill and blue pill talk, and I don't want to talk about what pills anybody should be taking.
I'm too old, I think, to understand pills and what people mean when they're talking about that, but you can bring up the Matrix to me, Johnny. I don't mind. I won't take it as any kind of statement.
But see, you won't, but we have other listeners, and I don't.
Oh my God, and your worry about politics.
I don't like it. I avoid it. I don't enjoy it. I just want to buy video games. I just want to buy stupid games, and I don't want to worry about a global economy collapse, but we have to look into it. And do you want to speculate? What are we doing here?
Speculate.
Are we speculating on the topic of like what it looks like if this happens, or do you want that to be some sort of episode like what would you do if the economy collapsed and the money machine stops going burr and in fact explodes? What do we do?
I don't know. You see, update on my job. I didn't end up getting laid off, so that's nice.
Thank goodness.
But if I got laid off, I could have done it in real time. I could have been like, hey, my income went from all my money to zero money. Here's how my collecting habits have changed. I'd probably be selling a lot more games.
Yeah. I went through that in 2008. I was in the middle of, I just finished my master's degree. I was going to go be a teacher. The whole market collapsed, and, suddenly they weren't hiring teachers in California anymore. And I was just like, oh shit. I had a like real shit my pants moment of like, what do I do? And like this happened to me in 2004 or 2003 after I graduated college. No, 2004 after I graduated college.
Oh yeah, I was just starting high school, Johnny.
Yeah, cool. Yes, I'm old, Tyler. Thanks. Shall we talk about some other things that you weren't alive for? Or like, hey, back in 1983 when I saw Return of the Jedi in the movie theater, you're like, oh yeah, it wasn't even, my mom's eggs weren't even fertilized yet.
That's a weird way to
Anymore.
put it, but okay.
Yeah, I was trying to put it in a weird, off-putting way. You're welcome. No, anyway, so 2008 and 2004, like we went through these disruptions. I went through changes in job, periods without work, and how do you fund a collection if that's still going? Like, what do you do? The right answer might be, hey, stop collecting and then put your money elsewhere, or find alternative streams of income, which is what I did. Because I looked at our pot of money, and I started working under the table at a couple of places and doing other stuff. But I was like, all right, none of this money can actually ever be touched for video games because I no longer have a source of income that generates that. So I need to either sell games or do something within the hobby itself that generates money to buy the games. And that's the only way I can buy games. So that's how I went about it, because I wanted to keep collecting. It was the only like reasonable answer. You know, if you lose an income stream, I couldn't just be like, well, I'm going to go spend my savings now and try to maintain what I was doing before. That would be insane.
I mean, I don't know if this is a recent feeling. Like, I feel like I could be happy not buying things anymore and just going through, and like maybe not buying new things, but going through all my games finally, documenting absolutely like everything about what I have, like every little insert and every code on that insert. Like, just doing that would take me months and months of work.
Yeah, it would take you a year.
In the process of doing that, I would find like, oh, I have all these Tecmo games and they're missing like that Tecmo watch insert. And like I could, if I'm spending all my time actually working on my game collection, like documenting and enjoying my game collection, like, yeah, you know, there's more to this hobby, guys, by the way, than just going on eBay and clicking buy. Like, you can enjoy the games you already have. I could see myself doing that forever. And like, obviously, I probably couldn't stop buying stuff because as I was doing that, I would notice like, oh, this cartridge sucks or this insert sucks. And I could go buy replacements or inserts and stuff like that. But doing that would be a lot cheaper than continuing to amass my hoard of games that I honestly don't need.
Right. I mean, we did an episode on this, remember? On like how to find joy in collecting without just clicking that buy button.
Yeah. Yeah.
That would have been a better title, probably.
Oh, that is a good title. Oh, well, no one goes back and listens to the old episodes, right? Or if they do, they're probably listening to all of them. So we don't need to worry about our clickbait there.
Okay.
Anyway, yeah, I think I need to get laid off, Johnny, and so I could go and enjoy my collection.
No. I'm going to talk. It's funny because I'm going to talk about like what part of my goals are for this year. And it doesn't, like, some of my goals include the word buy, but a lot of them include the word document.
More goals include for me, Johnny.
Interesting. So do we want to start to get into it?
Yeah, let's get into it.
Okay, hold on. This is a good stopping point. I was setting that up because Carly needs help. Okay. So I got to go. All right, I'll be right back.
Johnny, before we get into the episode, now that our break was over that you tried to disguise as not a break, I went looking through my Instagram DMs because I know we got more feedback on the Wii show. And I forgot another point that was repeatedly brought up to me by like 3 different people. I trashed A Boy and His Blob because I've played the NES version. I don't like A Boy and His Blob at all. And honestly, to me, the Wii one looks like it has parts of the same things I don't like about A Boy and His Blob. Like, you'll be just on the ground, there will be a platform in the air, and then rather just have a ladder, like any other fucking video game would just have a ladder there, you have to throw a seed on the ground and tell your blob to turn into a ladder, and it just makes everything slower and stupid. But, to be fair, I've never played Wii A Boy and His Blob, and a bunch of people messaged me and apparently do like that game. One person said it was synonymous with the Wii. So I was really hard on A Boy and His Blob saying, why is this on every Wii list? But apparently I am wrong, and I apologize, Johnny.
Man, you got way more feedback than I did about this episode. I got like virtually none.
Oh, yeah. Maybe I said the more inflammatory things about the Wii. Everyone, because you know what? If you like the Wii, you're the guy who went and bought every Wii game. So it's like, oh yeah, Johnny's cool. He bought every Wii game. He must love the Wii.
I don't know. I mean, I said some not nice things. But I mean, normally it doesn't matter who says anything. Normally I get the feedback and get trashed.
That is also very true. But I think, I mean, the Boy and the Blob thing specifically was, me trying to have an entertaining reaction to something that, to be honest, I don't feel that strongly about. I was just trying to find something to latch onto with the Wii. But
yeah, I mean, part of that episode, you were like, "This is Johnny chose to do this, and I'm just going to try and be a good sounding board." And you were doing the job. So,
all right. Do you want to get it? What were we even getting into?
We were getting into what happened through the year for us personally, what we bought. So, I mean, we should just, I think, start with goals. Like, what were your goals when you started 2022? What did you want to accomplish?
So I don't remember when I did this. It was either last year or the year before, but I have a big old list of the games that I'm looking for. So I don't have any set goals anymore, but I do have kind of like a prioritized list of games that I want. And more than ever, I've been trying to stick to just buying games that I want and not doing a search on Yahoo Auctions Japan for Famicom and then just looking for all the nicest Famicom games and putting $50 bids on everything that looks nice, because, those are the games that kill your budget when you're just like looking for something to buy, and $50, it seems like, oh, it's a nice game. Like, come on. I mean, I know this is like a beloved game. It's not that much. But, you do that 10 times and you spend $500 on games that you weren't specifically looking for, and that kills your goals. So,
yeah,
I'd say the majority of my stuff. So I don't use save searches in Japan. I do a lot of manual searching through Japan because sometimes stuff is spelled weird. But the majority of stuff that I bought this year was either through my Japanese searches that I'm doing manually or from my saved searches on eBay. Have not been doing a ton of browsing. And I think I went looking for bullshit that I bought this year, like stuff that I clearly shouldn't have bought. And I think I did a fairly good job compared to how I normally do, not just buying all these little $20, $40, $50 games that, like, more or less I don't need.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Because, like, normally there's just, like, an overwhelming amount of trash.
Yeah. I this is not what I should be starting with, but I went and I found some trash. Johnny, do you want me to talk about some trash I bought?
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. I just went looking through my Yahoo auctions history. Hydlide for Windows 95. It's a remake of Hydlide. Johnny, Hydlide, it's an important RPG, so I was trying to get a bunch of versions of it. I spent $63 on a complete in-box Windows 93 Hydlide. This is not like some important version of the game. It's a fucking stupid remake. $63 down the drain. The MSX version of Tower of Druaga, something I had been specifically looking for, but before I purchased it, I realized it was not an important version of the game. But because I'd been looking for it for so long, I bought it anyway. $55 down the drain. Final Fantasy VII demo, I'm pretty sure I was just browsing PS1 stuff. Like a sealed Final Fantasy VII demo. Big whoop. $50. Gone. Alfgard, an RPG for the PC-88 that no one has ever heard of. I think it's fairly early. It's like early 80s, which is the era I'm interested in. But it's a complete filler RPG for all intents and purposes. $70 down the drain. Field Wars. That's an early Hudson game. Out of like a million early Hudson games. I've already complained on the show that there are so many Hudson games that they made in the early 80s that, like, they're not even documented. I literally just bought this because it was a Hudson game. I don't even know what this game is. $32 gone. Pokemon Box Ruby and Silver sealed for the GameCube. Oof. I don't collect Japanese GameCube. I don't care about Pokemon, Johnny. I bought this because it was $40, and I think it's a novelty that the American version, what would a sealed American Pokemon box be, $5,000? I think it's fairly novel that you can buy the Japanese version for $40, but I don't need this shit. Like, this, what am I doing with this? $40.
I have no idea.
I mean, probably in terms of, like, what will hold value, like, this will hold value just because of the novelty of owning a $40 version of a $2,000 game. But like, I'm not here to sell it. It's just something that's going to sit on my shelf forever. And then Door is an early Enix game for the PC-88. The early Enix games were all like programming, game design competition type games. There's like 10 of them, I think. And this is like one of the first 10 Enix games. It's somewhat interesting, but like, you know, it's just a game that's going to sit on my shelf, $60. So add all that up. What is that? That's like 100. That's like 200. That's like $400. This isn't like every piece of shit I bought. There's plenty of things that are in like the $10, $20 range. I'm not going to go ahead and like list 50 of those. But yeah, that's like $400 of stuff that does nothing for me. I could have bought some amazing $400 game instead of these 7 random things.
True. You definitely could have.
Yeah, but I dug through my entire history of the entire year to find those things. It wasn't like I pulled that out of the past couple months. So I think I did pretty good in not buying that much of that junk, which was a real highlight for me, I think.
Okay. Yeah, I can see that. And so that includes Yahoo and eBay? I mean,
yes.
I know you said you mostly did Yahoo.
I mean, so I went look like on eBay. I didn't buy anything like that. I mean, there's some like upgrades I bought for big box games that you could say like I didn't need to buy, but I was so targeted with my eBay purchases this year that there wasn't a lot of bullshit.
Okay.
And yeah, I'd say I mean, just to go over what I was buying this year, it's really big box PC, European computer games, and Japanese games. And early on in the year, I was focused on like some rarities. Like I got some sample Famicom cartridges. I got Kid Dracula, Metal Gear, and Contra. I got sample cartridges. I got the Super Bomberman 2 and Super Bomberman 5 gold cartridges. I got a complete in box gold Punch Out. Just like some cool rare Famicom and Super Famicom stuff. But since then, I really focused on like the early 80s PC stuff, like kind of the historically important stuff, either to genres, specifically RPGs in most cases, and Tiger Wolf and me. Tiger Wolf's got me excited about collecting old Koei stuff, so we talk about the old Koei stuff. And, I got like Nobunaga's Ambition, Romance of the Three Kingdoms, stuff like that from Japan. Also got a copy of Gimmick. That's probably one of the best things I bought this year.
Gimmick I want a copy of Gimmick.
I think, they're like, I could point to like Gimmick is a game that's always been kicking around in my mind because I love Gimmick. Everyone should love Gimmick. It's like, this is a weird way to put it, Kirby's Adventure, but better, because when I think of like the most artistically beautiful and technologically advanced NES games, like Kirby's Adventure is one comes immediately to mind because that game looks
Kirby
amazing.
Is awesome.
And then Gimmick is everything Kirby has, but it's a better game and it's way more challenging and it's got like weird physics like to the bouncing star and everything. It's awesome. And the reason I bought one, because Gimmick's a very expensive game, it's easy to put it off forever. But there was a video game Sage thread, list your top 10 NES games. And like I realized like, man, even with everything on NES, Gimmick makes my top 10 and I don't own a copy. So I went and I'm like, oh, I got to fix that.
That's a good one. A weird one I still want. I want a copy of Devil World as well, just because, Miyamoto. So I feel like I should own that.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of like buying things before they get expensive, Johnny, you should buy that soon, I think. Now, I mean, I realize we're in a down market, but one day people will care about like the earliest Miyamoto games and things like that. Yeah. So
that and Gimmick have been on my list for a long time.
Yeah, I mean, I think Gimmick is just like a fan favorite type thing that it'll always be around because of that, but you don't have to like worry about it. But you could probably get a Devil World for like like a nice one for like $30 to $50 maybe. I don't know.
I don't like.
Get it before there's cheap? A problem where like all of a sudden like, oh, all the nice ones are gone and only like kind of the ratty ones are available because someone bought out all the nice ones. Devil World is not a rare game by any stretch of the imagination. No. Get it before the nice ones suddenly disappear, like happened to the Super Nintendo games.
Yes, you're right. It's one I don't know why I've put it off. I've just been like, There's also a bunch of like, what should I say? Like PAL games that I like, PAL exclusive for the NES that I've been meaning to buy, and I just haven't. And I know I'm just costing myself money.
Yeah, you're costing yourself money. Buy. FOMO.
Yeah, FOMO.
But
FOMO.
It's 2022. Maybe you don't have to. Maybe it'll be cheaper next year.
Maybe.
Economic apocalypse.
There we go.
So just to go over more stuff I'm buying. So those are like the really big Japanese things I bought. And then my other big focus was computer games, obviously. Beneath Apple Manor was a big one for Apple II, super early computer RPG. Project Firestart. I got numerous Ultima games, like 2, 3, 4, 5, 9. Maniac Mansion. I got a first print Maniac Mansion. I got a first print Space Quest 1. First print Might and Magic. And then Wing Commander Special Edition, which is really rare. That is a version of Wing Commander that you had to pre-order from Origin, and Chris Roberts autographed the front, and it came with a hat. So that was another cool one I found. And then there's this
hat.
Another like
a hat.
It came with a hat. I got like a
hat.
I got a Wing Commander trucker hat, Johnny.
You did it.
And then there was this version of Riven. So Riven is a game I played this year. There's this version of Riven that it comes in a really ugly box, and it has all the developer signatures in gold on it, printed on, not signed. And I couldn't find out. There's no information on where this came from. But I spoke with another collector, and apparently if you pre-ordered Riven directly from Cyan, I think, you would get this this box that was covered in the developer's signatures instead of like the regular Riven box that looks like Epcot. The one that actually looks nice. So I have this really ugly version of Riven, but it's pretty rare, and that was another exciting thing I got.
You've done it.
Yeah, I mean, those are like the two main categories. Like in terms of console games I bought this year, I bought a signed Metal Gear Solid 4 limited edition, and at Portland, I got like a super nice Zelda Link to the Past. And like, I have really been not focused on consoles lately. I mean, I think that's been obvious in how I've been talking on the show, but like without collecting sets, there's nothing drawing me to consoles right now.
It's fair.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have a list of things that we say we run through. Anything else you want to say about your purchases this year before I throw some categories at you to fill?
No. What's up?
Okay. What was your favorite buy?
Nobunaga no Yabo. So the first release of Nobunaga's Ambition for the PC 88, not 8001. Although it did come out on PC 8001, but that's a later release than the PC 88 version, Johnny.
Okay. If you say so.
I mean,
believe you.
You know, I mean, I really like the early 80s Japanese PC stuff. I think a lot of it is really important, maybe underappreciated, and never talked about in the West. And I mean, Koei became popular before these games. By these games, I mean Nobunaga's Ambition, Romance of the Three Kingdoms, Genghis Khan. Like, those are the games that solidified them as like, we make historical simulations. We're fucking Koei. Come to us for these boring games. And they had some earlier stuff, and I'm collecting that too. They had like some popular adult games, but this put them on the map as being the Koei that you know. Like all these games are on NES, like Romance of the Three Kingdoms, Genghis Khan. These are all NES Koei games. And Nobunaga's Ambition, I think, is the first historical simulation. If it's not the first historical simulation, is the first one that turned into an enormously popular series that spawned 20 sequels.
And like various other spin-offs.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
And so it's not like the most important game that I bought this year. A lot of it is just that getting this first release has been like a super long journey. It has been so difficult for me to find this complete in box because the original release, it's a cassette tape, and then it has a cardboard box that's slightly bigger than the cassette tape around it. Finding the cassette alone is kind of hard, but the box is just like so shitty and small that I think everyone threw them out. It's just a rare thing I've been searching for a really long time, which is why it's my favorite thing.
Okay. I like it.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, along with favorites, I like to know, what was a bad buy? What did you buy and you're like, man, what am I doing? Or something you just overpaid for, if you have something like that.
I don't think I overpaid for too much. I think my worst buy, the one I look at and I'm like, ugh. One, because it's really big and it's really obvious for me to keep being disappointed every time I see it. But I got a sealed copy of Ultima 9 that was autographed by Lord British. And it's sealed, so the autograph is on the seal, and it's like a little bit smudged and shitty because it's on the seal. Like, I don't get, if I have signed things, I specifically don't want signed sealed things. And it's not like I wanted a sealed copy of Ultima 9 or even wanted a signed copy of Ultima 9. I bought this because I wanted a 100% complete in box copy of Ultima 9, and the signed sealed one was not that much more expensive than just a really nice 100% complete in box copy. Now, the problem is, because the seal is signed, I can't just remove it. Like, normally I'll just be like, fuck this seal. I don't want this shitty seal. Let me take it off. I'll just have the nice 100% complete in box copy of the game. So I have basically a shitty signature that I can't remove, because, I mean, you don't want to remove a signed signature, even if it's kind of shitty. And so I'm at this impasse. It's like receiving a gift that you don't want. It's like, I don't really want this, but I can't get rid of it. And that's why it's my worst buy.
Okay. And let me ask you this one. I don't know why I'm saying let me ask you. That's weird. I'll just ask you. Hey, Tyler, what was a FOMO buy? What's something you just bought and were like a little bit of panic, and you bought it and then maybe realized you didn't need to, or could have slowed down, or just one of these already fill in that blank.
FOMO. Let me look at some FOMO stuff. I mean, like, I FOMO'd a lot of like the rarer PC stuff I bought, but a lot of it hasn't come up again. So when I FOMO'd it, like, I feel like I was right. Even if another copy comes up and goes cheaper, it's like, whatever, I got it. And the relief off my mind that, like, I don't have to think about this save search coming up again is worth me maybe overpaying 10% for it if it comes up and goes cheaper next time. So I'm not worried about that. I'll give you a shameful buy that was a FOMO buy, Johnny, if you want me to do that.
Okay. Yeah.
Shameful buy, definitely Divinity Original Sin 2 Collector's Edition. And not only that, it's sealed. Not only that, it's VGA graded, Johnny.
Oh, boy.
I would have bought any copy of this that came up. Any complete copy that came up. This was a Kickstarter exclusive. I think the Kickstarter version was limited to 1,000 copies. And then they sold some extra copies on the website. But this is specifically a Kickstarter one, which it has like an extra like credit card size thing that comes inside of it, but whatever. But it's not even shameful because it's like this sealed graded thing. Like, I just want this, my favorite computer RPG. I bring it up constantly. How often do I talk about fucking Divinity Original Sin 2?
You've already talked about it on this episode.
I fucking love this game. It's perfect. Everyone needs to go play it. I can't believe Peaceful was like, I've never even heard of this game. Fucking God, if you like RPGs, if you like Western Dungeons and Dragons style bullshit RPGs, and you want an RPG that's not another fucking Dungeons and Dragons game. Oh, it's so good. Don't play the first one. The first one is not super good. There's nothing carries over from the first one to the second one. They are entirely different games. I think they take place like 1,000 years apart in the timeline. So there's absolutely nothing you need to know. Just go directly to Divinity Original Sin 2. I am someone who plays the fucking Final Fantasy games in order, because I'm a crazy person. I know they're entirely unrelated. I don't care. I'm telling you to ignore the first one. Go play the second one. It's so good. All right.
Okay.
Johnny, why this is a shameful purchase is because it is, it's rare. This thing does not come up for sale, but so it was expensive. And it is a digital collector's edition, so it doesn't include a copy of the game. I know. It feels awful. It is the worst.
Yeah, yuck.
It's even the box isn't that good. It got like Instagram likes are not like a real metric of what a thing is.
No,
there's no side of the box that both looks cool and shows you the logo of the game. So it's a 4-sided box that has 4 faces of characters on each side, and no one can identify like computer RPG characters. They just look, they could literally be AI art at this point. And then it says Divinity Original Sin 2 on the top of the box. So like, it's not even a cool looking box, but I mean, I love this game so much I had to have it anyway.
Okay. So I also have a little slot here for most out of character buy. Does it also fill that box?
I mean,
Because it's a digital.
out of character in that, like, I really rail against modern collector's editions, especially digital modern collector's editions.
I know you love this game though, so it's a little
like
different.
it's not out of character
preach,
because I love the game so much.
Yeah, and we preach if you love the game, then go do it. And like we say all the time for like big box special editions, like if you love this game, if you're a big fan, even about the Mega Mans from IM8-bit, we said, hey, if you're a big fan of this, and yeah, of course, go get it, put it on your shelf, and just be so happy you own it. So this isn't that. Do you have one like that, or?
I mean, you might say Beneath Apple Manor. That is a relatively expensive re-release of the game. It's actually like a remake almost. So they're both on Apple II. The original release is like ridiculously fucking rare. This re-release is like such a placeholder for people who can't get the original. And I'm all about like, just save your money and get the good thing. And I didn't do it with Beneath Apple Manor. It's one of these games, like the original's so rare, like I feel like it just like might never come up and I might never get it. And I'm hoping I look back in 5 years and I'm like, oh, I was an idiot. I should have just waited for it to come up. But yeah, I went and I bought the placeholder rather than the real thing.
Fair. All right, let's see. What else do I got for you? Is there anything you got like a super great deal on that you're like, that you were pumping the fist over this year?
Nobunaga's Ambition, I realize I already talked about this. I got that for like 1/10 of my max bid, because this version of this game does not come up very often, and I think I got it really cheap. So that would probably be my best buy in terms of how much under I was willing to pay for that. And then my other thing, I think I brought it up on the show. I bought a copy of Super Mario Bros. And the cartridge has EEPROMs, and it's hand soldered. So it looks like a prototype. The date code on the CIC chip is not pre-release. So it is not like some weird pre-release prototype, probably not a sample copy, maybe some kind of sample copy, maybe some kind of repair. I don't know what it is, but I paid $25 for it, and it's definitely some kind of unique copy of Super Mario Brothers. And I know it's probably worth more than $25. So that was probably my best buy financially, I think.
All right. And would you say that was also the thing you were most excited to buy this year?
I mean, when I opened it, I sure was, because I'm like, holy shit, did I just buy a Super Mario Brothers prototype? But I mean, it's either that Super Mario Brothers or Nobunaga's Ambition. I've just been looking for that Nobunaga's Ambition for so long.
All right.
I think I was looking for that all of 2021 as well. And I bought I overpaid for just the cartridge without the box. Again, something I tell people not to do. And this time it really bit me in the ass because I bought the cartridge. It was in a lot of PC-88 games. It was like 10 cartridges. I spent more for that lot than I ended up spending on the complete in-box version of the game. So that was just like a complete waste of money, that lot that I bought.
Oh. Boo.
Yep.
Boo. Okay. Let's see. Outside of that, yeah, I think those are my questions for you. Do you want me to go over these? Do you want me to answer these questions now, or do you want to go on? Questions. I was going to say, or do you want to talk about what you're looking forward to in the future?
No, let's save that for later. You tell me what you like. What were the categories of things you bought this year? What were some of the coolest things you bought? And then you can go over those questions.
Yeah, I'll just run down my question list because I have it written down and I realize it's not in the episode idea doc, so you can't really see my little category here. Also, I wanted to surprise you with a few of them just so it wasn't like completely scripted.
Okay.
I know. First, I want to bring up one thing, and this is like a category that like we don't normally get, but I'm going to bring it up. Ethical gray area. So this is like a weird purchase, and like I normally don't have ethical gray areas might be something like if you had this category of like someone brought you a bunch of expensive games and they only wanted a small amount of money for them, or you were in a shop and you knew something was way underpriced, like that kind of stuff, right? And this falls into that a little bit, like not stealing, not necessarily anything wrong, but maybe not the best. and I have one game, and normally, I'm like pretty ethical, like pretty ethically bound. So I don't like if you brought $100 game to me and said you wanted $5, I probably would tell you it was worth more than $5. And try and work out a fair price, given what I think that cost is. I'm not one of these people who just wants to take advantage of people. But and this is nothing I did. I did not initiate this exchange, but there was a game, a box for Grand Theft Auto 2 for the Game Boy Color. Now, it's not like this is not super exciting, but it's a little expensive. And a company had it for sale on eBay for too much money. They had it at $100, Tyler, and they offered me a discount. You know how you'll get sent an eBay offer?
Yeah.
So they sent it to me, but they definitely misplaced their decimal when they sent it to me. So instead of offering me $8.99 off of it, they offered me $89.99 off of it.
I would have bought it now right then.
Well, and the offer said it went out to multiple people.
Oh shit!
And I just it's like this deal may have gone. So I click buy it now immediately. I'm like, yeah, sure, I take it. I was waiting to see if they would cancel. They did not. They lived up to it and they sent it to me. Didn't even say anything about it. They just sent it. Like, it wasn't like a mom or pop shop either. It was like a bigger reseller. Okay. Not in the vein of like Power Up video games, but of that ilk. Like I think they're Slackers online. Have you seen the seller? They sell like a bunch of stuff. So. Yeah, but anyways, they're one of these people who they're not an individual. They're like a store with multiple locations. That also sells on eBay. So yeah, that happened. But I was like, oh man, clearly this is a mistake. They did not mean to offer me $89.99 off of this $100 game. So yeah, but
that's interesting.
I bought it.
I don't know what I would do. I think I would just buy it. And if they said it was a mistake, I'd have no problem with them canceling the order.
That's where I was on. I was like, I'm going to do it because my thought was, if I don't do it, the next person might.
Exactly what I would think. Like, if I don't do it, the next person would do it, and that person might be a dick and like complain if they cancel the order or not. Like, I would be totally fine if someone was like, "Oh, sorry, let me cancel that," and I'd be like, "Yeah, cool. I'm not going to leave negative feedback or anything." Like, no,
mistakes happen. Like, yeah. So no, that was my thought, and I was shocked that no one reached out. Like, I could have if I was being like completely a white knight, like been like, I think you guys made a mistake and you should fix this. I did not. I just said, hey, ball's in your court. What do you want to send me a message or not? So I left it up to them.
Totally honest, I would do the same thing.
Yeah. So,
and because also I watch items on eBay. Like if someone lists a game for $100, even if it's something I think is worth like literally $15, I'll watch it just to see if like they realize and do the ultimate price drop. I don't think I've ever seen someone actually drop a price 90%. But like I'm watching stuff that I think is more than double overpriced to see if the seller eventually comes to their senses. And yes, in your case, I think it was clearly something went wrong there, that they offered too little. But I'm watching stuff to see if someone actually sends me those offers one day.
Yeah, it was, Tyler, it was real weird. I was like, oh my God, what just happened? Yeah. And then I was like, I couldn't think too long on it, or, I knew what would happen.
I've got an ethics thing that I've been thinking about this year.
Okay.
Just because you brought it up. I'm documenting some PCBs for certain cartridges, and like I'm looking at like cartridge variants to make sure I buy the right ones. I'm trying to like determine like which one of these are worth buying, and because I'm buying like a bunch of cartridges, I'm usually looking for like the cheaper stuff, because if I'm buying 20 copies of the same game to document PCBs, I would much rather spend $12 on those cartridges instead of $20 on those cartridges. And I don't have to be buying these. What I could do is I could literally just go on eBay and ask every seller to take a picture of all their PCBs and just send it to me so I can get that free data. First of all, I feel like it's wrong to do that if I know like, once you give it to me, I don't have to buy your game anymore. So I'm making them do 5 minutes of work for like completely under false pretenses. And I don't like that. But the other thing with doing that is if all of a sudden I see a PCB and like there's something interesting about it, like then all of a sudden I buy it now. And then it's like, okay, I just wasted everyone's time until like someone found like the crazy rare or interesting thing, like, oh, why does this PCB have a weird chip on it? Why does this PCB have hand soldered wires on it, or something like that? Why is it, like a Famicom adapter that no one's ever seen before? I feel like it would be weird to go around asking everyone to do work for me, and then once someone accidentally reveals something interesting to me, then I take their thing for like $12. Kind of my counter to that is I've just been buying all the cartridges that I want to document because I don't want to do that to people.
See, I'm going to say it's okay to ask. And I'm going to reframe it. I know what you're saying, and that kind of, it puts a different tint on it. But if I'm looking for a specific variant, like, and I went through this a lot this year because, as I'll reveal later, I bought a lot of movie ticket variants. So I would straight up ask people, hey, does this still have the movie ticket in it? Or is this, some of them, it doesn't like really tell you. You have to like look for a dumb area on the back. I'm like, does this manual have a movie ticket in it? And if they're like, which makes them go do some amount of work, right? They have to go open, look, and then be like, yes or no. And if they came back with no, then I was like, okay, sorry. And if they came back with yes, I was buying it. I was snapping off the buy it now. So
okay.
I think that's in the same realm. I think yours is a little more work intensive, especially since I don't know if a random seller knows how to open it up and look at a PCB and all that. But I think it's in the same realm, and it would really depend for me. Like if it was so cheap where buying it was like, I don't give a shit. But you are buying in mass. I'm kind of torn on yours, Tyler.
You see, the thing is,
But, hold on. I'm sorry. I'm just going to count it. But if I wanted to sell that game and you asked me, I'm going to hope I have what you're looking for because I just want it gone. So yeah, it is in my best interest, right?
All right. I'm just going to keep buying cartridges and see what happens.
Yeah.
To be clear, if anyone's wondering, I'm going to publish my data of all these PCBs I'm documenting once I'm done getting all the PCBs I want.
Yeah. All right. So we've got categories. The categories I have are favorite buy, bad buy, shameful buy, great deals, a FOMO purchase, an out of character purchase, and something you were really excited to buy. So that I'll be answering those questions. Tyler, I'm going to tell you something that was my favorite buy of the year. Are you ready?
I'm excited.
Okay. And I'm not excited. It's weird that it's my favorite buy, but it's Mega Man 4 for the Game Boy. And it's not just because it's expensive. It's like, it's the dumb expensive game that I bought. It actually comes in second place to a game that I have agreed to purchase, which isn't here yet. Hopefully, by the time this episode airs, I hope I have it, which is, I have no reason to keep it a secret, but Final Fantasy for the MSX. I'm super excited for that.
Yeah.
I'm super excited, but this is not that. But Mega Man 4 for the Game Boy, just because you remember, I think you were on the show then, but we were talking about, man, remember this crazy Mega Man 4 sale that just happened? And I've been watching it.
It was like $2,500 like years ago.
Yeah, yes, remember? And I was like, this was like $300. And like, it just went insane. And I have just been like waiting for it to come back down to earth. And it didn't fully come back down to earth or anything. Because I did pay $800 for it, which feel like I don't even know if that's a good purchase or not anymore. But that's what I paid for it. And this was back like early 2022. But it was the last of the Mega Man original Game Boy games I needed. So it felt good just to be like, finally, because I got 5 like a couple years ago, I could just stop looking or thinking about these Mega Man games. And like to have 1, 2, 3, 5 feels really weird. Like if I was like 1, 2, 3, 4, I'm like, oh, I'm just missing the last one and one day it'll come. But having like a middle gap felt worse somehow than missing the end, you know, like I'd feel the same way if I was missing one. Missing one might feel worse. Like if I'm like, well, I've got 2, 3, and 4, but I'm missing one. That I don't know, just the mental anguish that causes me is a lot different than if I'm missing the last one.
So, Johnny, anyways, I've got Ultima 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9, and I'm missing one. How do you think I feel?
Does it bother the shit out of you?
Yeah, it does.
Okay, yeah.
You know what's even
All right.
worse? Like, I could go and there's a ton of Ultima 1 re-releases. Like, there's ways to fill this gap for like not a ton of money, but like I want like the original most expensive bullshit version, and it's just the fucking worst.
Yeah.
Anyway, go on.
Okay, so I have a bad buy for you. Anyways, yeah. So
I heard you bought every Nintendo Wii game.
Yeah, those are kind of bad buys. I would lump that. I mixed on whether that's a bad buy, because that's also like, okay, I said I was going to do the thing a long time ago, then I said I wasn't, and then I like kind of half-heartedly picked at it like some kid who doesn't want to eat his peas. That's what it was like for me in the Wii, except peas are delicious and you should eat them. Peas are great. It's not like something gross like cauliflower. Ugh. I really have a thing against cauliflower, and it's not even a fair grudge against cauliflower, because cauliflower isn't that bad. I just don't like the idea of it, which I know is a weird thing to say. Like, you don't like the idea of a vegetable, but cauliflower looking so much like broccoli and then not being broccoli just bothers the shit out of me. It's just like anti-broccoli, and I don't like that. I don't like it.
Johnny, I've heard someone describe, let's go off on this. I heard someone describe once as cauliflower takes whatever flavor of like spices that you apply to it. So cauliflower literally tastes like nothing, which means it tastes bad. I don't want a texture with no flavor. That is not...
Thank you.
It's the worst. And you're right, it's especially egregious because broccoli is fucking great and they look so similar, but they're so different.
It's a betrayal. You put it in your mouth expecting something like broccoli, and then you get a big fuck you in your mouth. And I don't like that. I don't like it at all.
Anti-cauliflower gang right here.
Yeah, right. Thank
broccoli
God you're with me on this. Yes, absolutely. You know what else I don't like? I don't like people trying to make pasta out of it and pizza dough. Look, if like people like, look at the utility of cauliflower. I'm like, oh, you mean look at how basic and gross it is that they can just kind of mold it into anything and maybe people won't notice. Stop it. It's not Play-Doh. I'm not into it. Like, do not give me cauliflower pizza dough. I don't want it. I also don't want it for rice. You know what I'd rather have than cauliflower rice? 3 small bites of real rice.
Yeah, 100%. Okay? As someone who I like making like those marginally healthier decisions sometimes, like going for cauliflower rice, but like cauliflower rice is just the mushiest bullshit compared to real rice.
Yep. Just not into it. So anyways, my bad buy, I mean, I guess we could say those Wii games, but I'm going to pick a specific Wii game. And again, I'm mixed on whether it's actually a bad buy or not, or if I just don't like it. Cyberbike for the Wii. It's like one of the most expensive games on the Wii. You have to buy it. And I bought it. And I did not buy this game for years. And you can ask, there's a couple, one guy specifically on eBay. He knows who he is. He talks to me about he was talking to me about Cyberbike for a long time. And even he had one that was like fairly cheap. I think like $400 when it was in the middle of spiking. And I'm like, no, F Cyberbike. I would rather not own it than pay that much money and have an incomplete set for life than spend this money on Cyberbike. I hate the cover of it because it's like, just like bad avatars on it. It
looks
horrible.
Like the Zuckerberg metaverse. It looks like those guys.
Yes, exactly. It's detestable. It's gross. I don't want it. Anyways, so I for a long time just wouldn't do it. And then when I finally did, I had like an eBay, I had eBay bucks. I had like 50 eBay bucks that I had to use on it. And then I had to use my credit card points on it too. It was $225. I got it down to only $50 of my real money got spent on it. And that was the only way I could pallet it. So I think in the end, that's like fine. Not the worst or anything. But I'll
say I don't think it's the worst buy, because regardless of whatever actually ends up being the rarest Wii games, which I realize probably like potentially there are never enough people collecting the Wii to really suss out in the market what the true rarest games are. But Cyberbike will always be among like, oh, the hype, the rarest Wii games. It'll always make every blog post list, at least for the next 20 years. If Earthbound is still on rarest Super Nintendo game lists, and like a lot more people collect Super Nintendo, Cyberbike will be on Wii rarest game lists for at least another 20 years, I think.
Forever and ever and ever and ever. Anyways, so like I said, not like the other one that I have like in my bad buy list. And I don't think this is a bad buy. I think this is like fine. But I bought like a bunch of PS4, like pseudo horror games, like Halloween stuff. And then what made it a bad buy is because I pivoted I think it was like June. I decided I was going to buy these games and I was going to do a very modern Halloween focus this year. I'm like, I'm going to showcase just modern games because I felt like I've been getting really weird and esoteric, like picking weird things, just like fringe games. And people are like, what is this garbage? I have no interest. I wouldn't buy that because I would never play it. You couldn't interest me in that game no matter what you do. And then, and then in the middle of all that, after I bought about 30 of those games, like between PS4 games, some PS5, a couple Xbox One, and, a couple of Switch games that would fill that role, I just immediately went, nope, and then bought a bunch of weird stuff anyways. I'm like, no, let's buy that Arachnophobia. Let's buy the Intellivision Dracula game. Let's go buy Tapeworm for the Atari 2600. How many ZX Spectrum games can I get? Let's get a bunch of those.
A lot.
Who doesn't want the Count for the Atari ST? Like, come on, let's do this, right? So yeah, I just wound up doing the thing anyways. I did include some new ones in there, but mostly I went weird.
The horror genre, when you get into like the tangentially horror genre, I think there are so many games that you have to stop buying the random stuff that you see. Because what you talk about, like British computer games, like there will be like £1.99 computer games that have no value to anyone, but they have like Frankenstein on the cover. And you could buy like 100 of those games and they're just like chips. You can just eat them up. You need to make a prioritized list of like, these are the coolest horror games I don't have, so I could attack them from the top down. Because most likely, the thing that you would want the most it's not like there because you can't find it for sale. It's because you're just buying all this other shit instead of just, spending, say, $200 on the Castlevania X68000 game or something. If that was at the top of your list, I'm saying.
Well, I mean, I bought that.
Okay.
That was last year. That was last year. And last year I did have a more focused list because I'm like, I'm buying Castlevania stuff. This year I kind of decided in the middle of that because I was buying a lot of weird stuff. I'm like, I want to make sure I get weird movie related games like Psycho. Like I want the IBM PC big box release of Psycho because who owns that and who gives a shit?
That's crazy that exists. What?
I know. It's a weird one. I think we talked about it in that episode, or maybe I did my bonus episode on Psycho. I did my little bonus episode.
I was going to say, we have never had a conversation about this game because I don't know it exists.
Oh, no. That just tells me you don't watch my YouTube content. Thanks, Tyler.
What? Your YouTube content? When was this?
Right after that episode, I did like a little side episode.
You have... 100% I don't watch your YouTube content. Am I even subscribed to you? What are you talking about?
I mean, it's just Johnny
subscribed
Iucci.
to you. Oh, is this a short? I don't watch fucking shorts. Get the fuck out of here with your YouTube shorts.
I mean, it was like a minute. I just I just trying to give people a minute of content because the rest of this content is like, here's our 4-hour episode coming up, guys. Don't worry. You'll get plenty of content if you watch it. But I need to lure people in. Like it's trying to get eyes on us. And I realized I forgot to talk about it and I wanted to. Anyways, let's talk about a shameful buy, Tyler. And this is going to sound weird, but Ghostbusters 2 for the Nintendo PAL edition, which is a different game than the Ghostbusters 2 we got. Why is it shameful, Tyler? Because I did the thing I hate that I sometimes do. I settled for a condition I wasn't happy with, and then I got it, and it was worse than it looked in the pictures. So I just I knew I should have waited. I knew I should have paid more, but I was running out of time, and yeah. Now I just look at it and I'm just fucking unhappy. Every time I look at it, instead of being excited that I bought it, and here's why you should just do the right thing and maybe spend a little more. Let me be an example for you. Because now every time I see it, I'm just reminded of my disappointment. Instead of being excited, because I love Ghostbusters And I love buying the Ghostbusters games. I bought a bunch of cool ones this year. And this one now, which should be one of the coolest ones, is in fact not.
Just get rid of it. Because if just speaking of how I would approach it now, if I saw another copy come up for sale and it was in a condition that I would actually want it in, I would be less inclined to buy it because I already have the placeholder copy. So you just have to get rid of it to get that money back, and then you can go and buy the better copy that you actually want.
I think that's fair. A FOMO purchase. I mean, we could list that as my FOMO, but that was like weird. I wasn't missing out. I was worried about missing out on my own thing. But I wanted to talk about, during that Halloween episode, I wanted to talk about a bunch of weird, what's it called? Video games. Jesus Christ, Johnny, use your brain and know what you're talking about. FMV games. Thank you. There it is. So there's a bunch of weird FMV games for the PS4, and I just rapid fire bought a bunch of them. I wasn't doing my due diligence of checking. I don't know if they're good, but I was like, I wanted to do research on them. And I was starting to research, and I was like, had a list, and I was like, okay. And I just bought a bunch of them without doing my normal look in. And then, Tyler, I have another shameful purchase I should call out. One that I know you expected me to call out and I didn't. And this isn't exactly FOMO, but I think it can fall into shameful and maybe a little bit of FOMO, especially because it's a limited run game. Aside from those FMV games, yeah, I want to call myself out. Because if nothing else, Tyler, I'm willing to call myself out when I do something stupid or counter to our own recommendations. So if you've seen lately, Limited Run has somehow, and I don't understand this, and I'm not here to criticize Limited Run right now because I don't care about that. But for some reason, they have a new game, oh, this is going to be a digital release. It's Star Wars. It's the sequel to Jedi Fallen Order, a huge, popular, successful series, and the sequel. And somehow I have a pre-order now for that game through Limited Run, which I don't understand because now they're just like a regular publisher. So everything else they've ever said doesn't really hold water or make sense. I don't know why they have this edition. And again, who cares? Let's not get into all that. But there's a very expensive version with a lightsaber from Cal Kestis and a bunch of other shit. And I don't care about any of that. I almost bought, I'm a Star Wars nerd. If you don't know that, you should. I own a Luke Skywalker lightsaber, and I got a Darth Vader lightsaber. And I love Jedi Fallen Order. This is one of these games I've played 4 or 5 times. I don't have time for video games, so when I want to play a video game, I just go default to Last of Us and Jedi Fallen Order because I know what I'm doing, and I can go just comfort food because I feel like I want to be playing a video game. This is one of the ones I play. I play it a lot. Yeah, Jedi Fallen Order. I bought the edition with the lightsaber. It was shameful.
Jedi
a little bit of
Survivor,
FOMO.
Not Jedi Fallen.
Yeah, it's Jedi. It's the sequel, so it's Jedi Survivor. It's the sequel to Jedi Fallen Order. If it was a weird edition of Jedi Fallen Order, that would make more sense because that's what Limited Run does. But this is a new one, so it's a confusing release to me.
All right, so I made fun of this because this is
absolutely
obviously because it's dumb because you didn't say the price. It's $300 fucking dollars.
It comes with a lightsaber though.
It comes with a lightsaber hilt. Saber sold separately.
And the lightsaber is the hilt.
I kind of admire this. Considering the ultra premium price here, it comes with a copy of the game. I guess it comes with a steelbook, fucking whatever to steelbooks. And then it comes with a lightsaber and nothing else. It doesn't give you a fucking pin, doesn't give you a keychain, stickers. I hate all that bullshit. Don't give me a shitty art book that's just someone who slapped a bunch of pictures from production into a thing. Don't give me photo cards. Fucking no. It has the game and it has the lightsaber. The things that someone buying this edition actually wants. It doesn't try to turn it into a loot crate. So this is stupid, and you're dumb for buying it. But I do appreciate that they made it. It makes it feel more premium, even though it's mass-produced garbage.
Yeah, so if you were to look at something similar, like the Galaxy's Edge or the Legacy Blades, they cost between 150 at the low to 250, 300 at the high. So, I mean, it's within that range. It does not come with the blade though, which is a letdown, for sure. So yeah, I'm going to say it's a bad buy. I'm going to say it's a shameful buy. But I I have this weird goal of owning all the Star Wars games, so here I am.
And all the controllers and console variants and everything ever.
Not everything ever, because that's impossible.
Yeah.
But anyways,
I mean, I do love seeing like people have those warehouses of like, I just collect all of the Star Wars merchandise, all of it. Yeah. It's just like, whoa.
I love those videos too. I mean, but it's extreme. But yeah, I have all the dumb Xbox controllers, all of them, because I'm a masochist and an idiot. But I don't have like all the consoles. I didn't buy like all the weird bad Darth Vader consoles they made, or like honestly, the controllers at least have to look cool.
The one that comes to mind is the C-3PO R2-D2 Xbox 360, and I'm sure you have that. Yeah.
So that one is so good. It beeps like R2-D2 when you turn it on.
I mean, that is really good that it beeps like R2-D2 when you turn it on. That,
I mean,
I feel like most special edition consoles would just be like a different plastic shell on the console, because obviously that takes no effort. The fact that they went like literally, that must have taken someone 20 minutes to go in and like change the operating system, put it on these consoles, and that makes it 100 times better.
Yeah, I mean, also the sides are molded correct. Like, it's the same frame, but it's not just like the faceplate like they used to do with the 360s. So it's a little more than that. And the controller, it's not just a gold controller. Like they did even the bottom piece has like the wires for, that would be C-3PO's stomach, those wires. It's a really good special edition. It's great. That's a great special edition. And a lot of the later Star Wars special editions that they had in like the PS4, total trash. Trash. Do not buy them. Anyways.
Johnny, I just want to say, one of the reasons I was making fun of this is because one of the things that was heavily advertised was limited quantities available. So this is a pre-order unlimited run, but they only, of this $300 edition, and I guess this really isn't as bad as Baldur's Gate 3 with their 25,000, 5,000 PS5 copies, 2,000 Xbox copies, and 1,000 PC copies. And, there used to be, like, a couple days ago, there were many thousands still in stock, but there's only about 1,500 left. Only. That is $459,000 worth of product left to sell. But these have sold more than I expected, honestly. I thought these were going to sit like the I Am 8-bit Mega Mans.
Yeah, so this is why I put it under my FOMO instead of just my straight shameful. Mm-hmm.
But, like, just... I know it's not about the value for you, it's just that you've got to own it. But for people buying this, like,
I don't know what
$300.
I don't know what other people are hoping to. It's not exciting looking. The case isn't like particularly grand. Like, I love the way Kyle Kestis's lightsaber looks. So, but I don't know what other people are getting out. Maybe people will just love it as much as I do, and that's it.
It's Star Wars, Johnny. People love the Star Wars.
Do they? Like right now, I feel like a lot of people hate it. Though Andor, I just finished, really good, Tyler. I think you would enjoy it.
Yeah, I haven't watched Andor, but I feel like everyone liked Andor, so I don't know why you're saying everyone hates Star Wars.
Well, but like people hated Obi-Wan, and not everyone. I loved Obi-Wan. I thought Obi-Wan delivered a lot of things I want. And it also had ties to Jedi Fallen Order, which I thought was really cool.
I mean, I feel like people are enjoying the video games. Even people who are like complaining about Star Wars, I feel like people like half of the TV shows at least that they're putting out. Because everyone likes The Mandalorian too.
Anyways, I think I can move us on from there. Star Wars is like, it's got a weird fandom, and I don't exactly understand Star Wars fandom. I just know what my attachment is to it, and I operate outside of the sphere of anyone else's influence on that because I don't care. I'm just doing the thing I enjoy. Anyways.
All right. Johnny, most of our negative reviews that we get on this podcast are that we go off on tangents that go nowhere and the show is not focused. And I need everyone who's listening to know that will not change.
I mean, this is part of what we're talking about. This is part of, I mean, the tangent thing is going to be part of your experience. Sorry if you don't like that. I understand if that moves you away from us. Anyways, Tyler, out of character purchase. Do you want to know something I bought that was kind of out of character? Besides, it's not weird Halloween stuff because, that's fair game. Anything is fair game during Halloween time.
I feel like I turned something onto you that was either Japanese or European that or was it like a big, I don't know. Give me your out of character purchase. What did I influence it?
Not the one I'm thinking of. I'm wondering what you're thinking of.
Okay. Anyway, what is yours?
Okay. Mine is Elder Scrolls Travels Shadow Key for the N-Gage.
That is not something I would have expected you to buy. You don't even strike me as a particularly like hardcore Elder Scrolls fan.
Nope. I mean, I have some good memories of Elder Scrolls. I've told the story of like going through Morrowind, not having any leg armor on, and then slowly panning the camera while my wife was watching, and her fucking laughing her ass off that I didn't have pants on through the whole game.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. I think I was a vampire at that point too. So yeah, no pants on vampire. What were you thinking was going to be my attic? Not Jurassic Park Institute tour. You weren't thinking that, were you?
I don't know, maybe. I don't know what it was, but like you're over in your set world. So when I show you like a computer game and you're like, wow,
yeah.
I need to buy that computer game, that's pretty unique when that happens, I think. When it's not like a horror game that you're just getting for your horror stuff.
True. Let's see. Excited by. What was I excited to buy? Well, I was really excited to buy that Star Wars game with the lightsaber because I bought it like instantly. I was also very excited for that Mega Man. So that's kind of it. I didn't have anything else. I was like, oh shit, yeah. There was nothing like I'd been super waiting on to get that like hadn't turned up. I'll tell you, like I did mention on the show, The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy for the Apple II that I got for $8.
And it came with like all the shit, and that game comes with a lot of shit.
Yeah. So that's like also my great deal. Like that was also a great deal, and I was pretty excited because it was so cheap and weird. I also bought like a bunch of weird games that I was excited to buy. Xbox, PS2 era stuff, and GameCube games that had movie tickets. I was very excited to buy those this year.
I mean, Johnny, let me tell you, I love the movie ticket stuff. I love that, and I'm looking at specifically in like the Secret Santa, because everyone asked for weird games on Secret Santa. One of the games that someone got, let me go find it. Divertov got Fight Crab for the Switch. I don't even know if this came out in America physically.
No, it's a Japan only release.
Fight Crab. It's a crustacean fighting game. Literally, it's got like a crab holding a hammer on the cover, and it looks like a kaiju movie poster. It looks fucking awesome. Like, this is 100% shit I would be buying if I was buying Switch games. But man, I've been like so trying to focus on not buying this stuff because I could blow my entire budget buying all the cool PS2 games I don't own yet, all these Switch games I don't own yet, and just, man, I got to stay focused to stay away from this stuff. Like, oh god, the movie ticket games are so good, Johnny. That is such a good set, and I've said that multiple times in this show. Especially because I know that like so many of them you can get for $10 and just find sellers essentially slipping on them.
There was like a big period of this year where that's all I did was just like, I'm going to spend the next 3 months. You know, sometimes I do this. I just bide my time doing something kind of inexpensive because I don't know where I want to put most of my money. And I don't want to just overspend on a bunch of stuff. But I want to buy games and I want to buy stuff that interests me. So a lot of times I just pick a few areas that I can revert back to, and movie tickets are always one of them. And I love picking them up. I don't have all of them yet. I got some big lists, and, you know, I'll go through probably going to be like a February, March time frame for me. And I'll be like, yeah, I should buy some more movie ticket games.
It feels weird that there are so many that it's a set that like you could go buy a bunch of them, drop it, and then pick it back up again. And there's still like a lot more for you to get.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I bought like 15 or something or 18 of them. But I also like because everything is like multiple releases, because you'll have a release on the Wii, or GameCube, and then also on the PS3, sometimes the PS4 and the PS2. You get GBA in there, you'll get DS in there sometimes. So it might be a game across multiple systems. And I usually try to buy it on multiple systems because I'm gross. Or there's an exclusive on that system. So there's like, you can make fewer games into a lot more games if you want to. Like this year, I think I'm going to, one of the things I've told you about that I want to look at games that came with 3D glasses that aren't just, Rad Racer and get those games.
So
I think it would be fun. Like, I think that's just a funny add-on is like 3D
How many
glasses.
games? How big could that set possibly be? 3D World Runner, Orb 3D. What else is there? Give me two other games.
Attack of the Movies.
What is
on-
Attack of the Movies?
It's on the Wii. Attack of the Movies 3D.
Okay.
And hold on, I don't have.
You got to get the Sega Master System set.
Yeah.
I mean, you already have that, so what, that. But I mean, those. I know those don't count, but if it supports the Sega Master System 3D glasses, I think you have to put this in the spreadsheet.
Maybe.
I mean, it gets its own section at least. Come on. It's a type of 3D
there's
glasses.
like, how did we forget Contra on the Sega Saturn and also the PS1? Heart of Darkness on the PS1.
Oh my god! Why is this set getting bigger? Why are we just? What is happening?
I think Sly 3, I think maybe came with glasses. I have to confirm that. But
Oh god, do I not have the 3D glasses in Contra?
no, you don't. You definitely don't.
Okay.
Here's good news.
Oh my god, I just searched Contra Sega Saturn, and there's one copy on eBay, and it's a $400 buy it now, and it doesn't have the glasses. What?
I was gonna say, your good news is that the glasses are the same in the PS1 version.
Oh yeah.
So that's what. So you can get it for like $100, but a lot of people put like fake bullshit 3D glasses in. So be careful. If
Dude, that happens on like game, like that happens in like Rad Racer and Orb 3D. Like Orb 3D is a game that is so common, new old stock, that like you could literally just buy a sealed one if you need the 3D glasses. Because that, I mean, I don't know about now, but like I bought 3 different copies of Orb 3D and pieced them together because that game is so worthless because there's so many new old stock versions out there. But people still put like fake 3D glasses in these games to make them look more complete. It drives me nuts. Like I would rather like.
I mean, I showed you that Mint Orb 3D I bought because it was just like, oh, it's got the glasses and they're nice and everything is in there, and it was like $30 or something. I was like, okay, whatever. I'm just gonna buy this.
I can't believe it. So this is the reason you were showing me that Orb 3D, because you're going for the 3D glasses set?
I'm thinking about it.
Oh my goodness.
I'm thinking about it. So there's some Batman, one of the Batman games on PS3 has some 3D glasses. There's a Cabela's game that has it. And then, there's a Duke Nukem Target exclusive, Duke Nukem Forever, I think, has a special edition with 3D glasses and a poster.
All right. So first of all, this is turning into After Dark because right now I'm shopping for these Contra 3D glasses.
Stop. Yeah. What? Anyways,
you can buy a sealed PS1 Contra for less than a complete in box Saturn Contra. There's a sealed PS1 one for $300 unsold. So that makes me feel a lot better that I'll be able to find these on PlayStation. Oh, here's one for $250. Oh, perfect. Oh, I'm not going to spend a lot of money on these. I'm going to wait for one to show up. Good, Johnny. All right, we can continue with.
You're welcome for that tip.
Yes, thank you.
So, yeah, that was some stuff. That's my whole list. That's what I'm doing, and that's what those were my buys and stuff of the year. They don't necessarily have to deal with what I was doing this year. This year was kind of a down year for me. What I know you had shifted. Did you meet all of your goals? Have you made any new goals now? What else what's a wrap up of this year look like for you? We talked about your buys, but like wrap me up this year, but like a quick TLDR of what you did this year for buying.
I mean, it's what I said. My goals aren't. I can't complete my goals anymore. Yeah, I just have a big list of wants, and it's not so much about completing the list. It's about making sure I prioritize correctly. And let me look at like the biggest want. Like my biggest want was absolutely that Nobunaga's ambition. So I knocked off my biggest want. And when looking for like stupid bullshit in the $50 range, I came up with like 7 games. And like I'm sure I bought more bullshit other than that. But just going through my history and finding like less than once a month I was buying something like I absolutely did not need. That's pretty good too, I think. So I think, I met my goals for all intents and purposes. I mean, if I can knock out, literally, I think for next year, if I can knock off my most wanted game, which is probably Ultima 1, regardless of anything else I do this year, I'm going to try to buy as few games as possible so I can save up for my major wants like that and see how it goes. Because I bought less this year than I bought last year, especially in terms of quantity. I think I spent less money this year too. But in quantity, it's way down because I'm focusing on the bigger stuff that are my bigger wants. And I think I'm definitely going to try to roll that into next year again and go for some of my biggest wants and really tone down the quantity of like the lesser stuff I'm buying.
I think that's a good goal. You know, more focus. I mean, we talk about that a lot. If you're not going for sets, what are you doing? What are you doing with filler? So I don't think I spoke through what my goal was for this year. Did I? I don't think I did. My goal for 2022 was to finish the Wii. I mean, I know we've talked about me doing the Wii a lot, and that's because I made a decision, and I think I said it on the show. I'm like, I'm just going to try and finally finish the Wii and just get it done. Like, I kept getting like small little lots, getting closer and closer. At the beginning of the year, I was within 100 games, like at 102 or something, and I just went for it. And then after my audit, that total was really like 109, but whatever, doesn't matter. I did it. I went through and I got it. I'm going to say technically I have it because some stuff is still in the mail. But after the audit and everything, that was like my big deal. I also said maybe I'll try and do Xbox, and I did not do that. I did not make any headway on the Xbox. And for some reason, I also picked up another old goal, like instead of that, which I like was completely out on. Hey, Tyler, do you know I almost finished a Vita set?
I sure do. For some reason, know that you did try to do that.
I'm like 4 games away now.
All right.
And I just like didn't feel like spending any more money, which is, it's like $150 or whatever in those 4 games. I'm just like, I'll do it later. But
the best part about a down market, I'll do it later, and you don't have to feel like you're lying to yourself.
No.
Or whatever it would be, because you can.
I can do it later if I want to.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that was like some big deal. I also wanted to like slow down my purchasing from the previous year because, man, the previous like 2021 was like pretty expensive. So I want to like kind of cut back, and also, you know, we have some like new stuff in our hobbies and everything being more expensive. My wife is more into books, and you know, things were more expensive. So I just wanted to be a little more careful. And I think going into next year, I have some pretty easy goals. I do think I'll plug away at that Xbox. I'm trying to wrap up sets that are just like lingering. Because if I don't wrap them up now, then I just want to get rid of them. So if I can't wrap them up, I want them gone. And then just to be focused on only good stuff. So I'm not trying to start in the middle of any more sets. So Xbox has been a lingering set. I have to like decide if I want to do that. In Game Gear, if I decide I'm okay with finishing it with carts, then Game Gear is another one that I want to plug away.
But all your sets are complete, and you're going to go for a cart-only Game Gear set?
Not cart only. It's going to have to be mixed because I don't know if I care to spend like $1,000 on a Game Gear game.
I sure don't.
The set. So
well, I have strong opinions on the Game Gear, but okay.
I know. Anyways, that's kind of where I'm at. I mean, I am still in the middle of GBA, GBC. I'm never finishing Game Boy. Like, that's another set where I have to consider, and I'm not going to consider it this year unless like some weird thing falls in my lap, like whether I'd be comfortable getting like the last 200 or 100 games I need for that set in cart only, or like picking up what boxes I can and then, you know, really being like, I'm not going to spend over $300 on a game. So if it's just more than that, I'm not buying it, and be comfortable finishing a set like that, having a few carts. And I feel that way through the GBA and the GBC, because there's like a few games I'm just like, I'm not going to shell out that kind of money for this game. Like Little League World Series on the GBA, like if you know about this game, it's like, does anyone care about this game? You can get a cart for, now people bought them all up and now the carts are $100, but they used to be like $20 carts. It's like, do I care about this game enough to maybe spend $1,000 or $2,000 on Little League World Series? I don't, is what I've found out. So I either have to be content in not completing the set, or just be happy, just put that cart in the little cardboard holder that you'd find in, you know, like half the Game Boy boxes, GBA style boxes, put the manual behind it, put it in a box protector, put it in the box with the rest of the GBA games, and be like, there it is, I did it. So that's kind of the way I'm leaning, but I think 2023, that might be too much ambition to think I would knock one of those sets off.
You could, have you tried stopping collecting sets and see what happens?
I have, but I'm like almost done
I'm
with like a
almost
lot of
done
them. So it's
owning
like,
every video game that has ever existed. So
yeah, well, wait until I decide I want to just do PS3. I did make a decision that I thought PS3 was a more interesting console than PS4 or PS2.
You're out of your mind. But I mean, I don't think I think that's debatable. But no, I think
I'm not
you're
going
wrong
to
still.
do it, but I'm just saying in general.
Okay.
I feel that way. Yeah, I think that's where I am, and that's like where the year took me. So yeah, finished the Wii. That felt really good. That was like a good feeling, just because you know how long I toiled on this fucking thing. It's just forever, Tyler.
Yeah.
Another dumb thing I bought like a lot of was Star Wars games because I love buying like weird Star Wars stuff, and there's a lot of weird Star Wars games you can buy. That X6800 game I got, whew.
You got
So
that?
good.
You got that Star Wars Droid Works? That's the one,
no,
Johnny.
because I'm
That's
waiting
the one
for
I
it.
rented from the library as a kid. That's the one I remember.
So there's a couple of different variants on that. I'm not sure if you're aware.
There
but there's
are.
one
I
that
know
comes
there
with
are variants of that.
Yeah. So there's like a Scholastic variant, but of the big box releases that are the most common, there's the one with like a figure in it, and then there's one with like a bonus disc, and then there's one with nothing. I want the one with the figure. I don't even know what the figure is because I can't find a good picture of it, but there's lots of boxes that show up that say figure included and it's not included. So I'm not even sure what I'm missing, if it's generic or not. So if you know this, please tell me because I don't know enough about computer games. Yeah. Anyways.
All right.
Oh my God.
What?
I just found oh no. Is that a variant? Sorry, I was on a stupid Star Wars thing, and I think I just found a variant of the Phantom Menace for PS1.
Okay, great.
Yeah,
Well,
I think it's a sticker variant. It's a sticker variant, so I'm good. Like sticker on the seal.
Okay. All right. That doesn't count, but sticker. I mean, it counts in some sense, but
Yes.
sticker on the case. I would want it. I would
Me
want
too,
it. Do you know how
sticker
many copies of fucking Mists I own because they change like stickers? A lot. There's a lot of versions of Mist. All right, Johnny, what else do we got for talking about this episode?
I think that was kind of it for the goals. Unless you want, you should talk about where you're trying to go next year. But I mean, you recapped it a little bit in your TLDR. Is there anything specific, anything else you want to call out besides trying to get Ultima?
I mean, I've got more big wants, like mostly just like this Apple II shit, because the rarest, like earliest stuff doesn't come up. Like it would be great to get a Calibeth, which is really the ultimate Ultima game to own. I'm not going to get an Calibeth. That game is many thousands of dollars. But the things I'm otherwise focused on besides big wants, insurance. I've said I'm shopping for this before, and then I started the process, and they wanted a big list of games and everything that those games are worth. And I'm like, wow, that's going to take me a real long time to compile because I manually do my game lists. So even just getting a value for every game, even just like getting the price charting value, it would be a bunch of manual work for me to do. And I realized there's scripts I could do to automate it and bullshit some of this. But the insurance companies want to know, hey, where are these values coming for the things that we are insuring? And I'd have to say like, oh, they're from price charting. So I can't just like bullshit everything. So that is a major reason that you and VG Collectaholic are convincing me to maybe switch my game database over to Collectors, because Collectors has automatic value stuff it does.
Yeah, they are now attached to price charting, and it puts in a value for most games.
Yeah, I mean, and I've got all this Japanese shit and PC stuff, and I realize like that doesn't matter as long as like the majority of my stuff has some random value attached to it, and I can hand it to an insurance company and say like, here's the value of 80% of my shit. I like, if my house burns down, I'm not gonna be fretting over, you know, the PC games that didn't have a value attached to it. I'm hoping my house doesn't burn down is the reason for that.
I mean, I think you could. So here's the thing: there's a manual column for values you can add. So if it doesn't have a value, you can put one in there and still have that, and then they can ask where it came from, and then you can be like, also I attributed these values because price charting doesn't track them. And
I know.
We can track eBay sales, so you can get there. Just wanted to mention that. Also, the nice thing, and before what they didn't do was they didn't let you choose which value column to select from, because now you can tell it like, oh, it's a CIB game, it's a loose game, or it's new. So, and it like picks the values from the right column in price charting now.
Oh, it didn't do that before? That's nuts. But okay.
Well, no, before it was just like, it would just put a value, and now, yeah, I mean, before, when I first started with this, and like one of my biggest hurdles and why charting everything was such a pain in the ass is because I had to put the price I paid, and then I had to assign a value that I thought it was worth at the time. And then if the price ever went up, I had to be like, oh, I have to go back through and change everything now, which was insane. Especially when games were only moving up, and it just became too much to keep doing. So like, and then I would always be in a constant state of never complete. And now at least I can just be like, okay, I can do an export once a month and just be like, put the value, the name and the value, and then or the index ID. There's an index ID, which is better. So I'll use the index ID, and then every month I'll export it and then just do a VLOOKUP to that, and I'll attach the value. And then at the end of the year, I can look at what the values of games and totals actually did for consoles and stuff, for true tracking.
For true tracking. I mean, even this is like, I'm not the pickiest collector, but I recognize that probably my stuff is generally nicer than price charting's prices. So even those values aren't going to make any sense for me. But I just need something. I need to tell insurance something.
Right. So you need something. So this is a common goal we share, not just for the insurance purposes, but I'm trying to get my database back up. And on the Discord that we have, if you're a member of our Patreon, you get access to that. I shared, you can put a link so other people can see your collection. And I was just like, all right, guys, you want to see what I've bought and like where the collection's at? You can follow along if you want. Like, I'm not saying that that's an exciting thing to do, but a lot of times people ask like, what's everything in your collection? Now I can just be like, hey, check out the link. And the cool thing it also does now is you can take pictures, Tyler. When you take your picture, because you're going to have like bullshit variants, right? You're going to have like, oh, this one has this sticker on it versus this one, which doesn't. You can, and it's going to have the same UPC. So you can still attach it to the same UPC so the values are showing up in general, but then you can change the cover photo of it. Before you'd have to rely on like what was on the internet. Now it's much quicker because I'm scanning with my phone and then managing on my desktop. So I can snap a picture with my phone and then just upload it through the cloud and get the right picture on there when I'm scanning in my variants.
Yeah. But you use the cloud service. So VG Collectaholic doesn't use the cloud service.
I use all of the services.
Yeah. Use all the services, but you sync to the cloud, your thing. So you're only getting, the one image synced that you get for your, like your cover art you can change. So you could take one picture of each game, but when you use the desktop thing, you can take multiple pictures of each game and not all that gets synced to the cloud. So if you do have some kind of failure, that's not all backed up.
No, that's true. But like mainly I care about, like, yes, down the line, if we're talking about what I would love, best case scenario. Yeah. I would love a lot more. And Collectors does give you the ability to throw all that stuff. Sounds like they've sponsored this episode. They have not, but if they would like to, you let me know.
I mean, I'm going to talk about this a lot more once I actually switch all my stuff over to it. But like literally before I do that, I'm taking everything off the shelves, putting them into boxes so I can have like an organized area of like, because like right now my stuff is split up all over the place. I've got Nintendo games in boxes. I've got a full shelf of Nintendo games. The ones that are in boxes didn't fit on the shelf. And then in my game room, there's so much shit in my game room. I guarantee there's more Nintendo games. Like I've got all my cartridges of my Nintendo games in there. I've got like homebrew in there. I need to consolidate everything by platform and just because it's going to be a nightmare to organize it all otherwise.
Yeah.
Anyway,
sure is.
It's a huge project. I will talk about this more once I actually switch my database over. And I will talk about how great or terrible it is.
Yeah, I'm curious. I like it, and I know I'm using it in a way that's a little more advanced than a lot of people, and definitely not to the detail that Scott, VG Collectaholic, is using it. So I'm curious where you will wind up falling, and also Mr. CIB uses it. There's a lot of collectors who use it. The worst thing about collectors is the Z at the end of the name. That
100%.
It's very 2000s, and there's no getting around it. But I love the software in general, and like. So people are like, oh, why you use the phone as your scanner? Because it has a barcode scanner, especially when new stuff comes in. Now that I'm never like really buying cart only stuff anymore. I say this as I just talked about maybe finishing Game Gear cart only. I realize the irony of that, but most of the stuff that comes in is complete, or it's like a new game, like a Switch game or something. I can just scan it very reliably. And like before it even gets into my office, and it takes like 1 second. So I'm not behind. Before, I'd have to like sit down on my desk and then like do this whole process, get it upstairs, have like a staging area for it before to like begin work. I don't feel quite as overwhelmed, but it's going to be a long process for me to get every game in here because, just scanning every PS1 game is a long time. I scanned every Wii game because I wanted to I've done the Wii, it's done. I want to like box it up and then just be done with it, not have to go back to it in 6 months and be like, all right, time to scan this stuff. I just want to be like, nope, put it away and I'm good. Let's not take that out again unless like something calls for it. The other thing you can do is put locations. So like if I put a box number on it, I'm like, oh, it's in box, it's in box, Wii 3. So I know exactly where it is, which I like.
Yeah. All right. I mean, I'm getting there. I'll let you know how that goes. Anyway, the reason that so I've put this off for so long, especially since 2020, just because I realize things can happen while I'm home, but like literally I am home 24/7 and will be for the foreseeable future, especially because my office essentially just closed. So I'm like fully working remote now. Ada is fully working remote. Are you fully
like I thought they just shrunk your cubicles. Did they tell you now you're full remote?
Dude, we are, oh my fucking God. So I used to have a cubicle, which used to be a symbol of like oppressive capitalism. It's like, oh, we force people into these cubicles, these little 8x8 cubes, and there's a row of 1,000 of them, and it's just this soulless corporate environment. And now I would give anything to have that back. So they, quote unquote, temporarily have moved us into a shared desk environment where my entire team now gets like 6 desks, and my team is like 30 people, and there are 6 desks and a floor of like 100 people, and I'm a tech support guy. I'm on the phone all day, and there's no more cubicle walls. There's just desks. So there's this big room of 100 people who are on the phone all day, and I don't get my own desk, so I have to share desks with whoever was there beforehand. I don't want to deal with like the hygiene issues if people are there beforehand. I don't get to have any of my personal effects. I can't leave my mouse. I can't leave my computer dock. I don't have a mouse pad. Like, just it's a nightmare. And so the option is either deal with that or work from home forever. And I realize most people would just be like, obviously work from home forever. But I'm one of the people who likes working in the office. So essentially they've closed the office to me.
Oh,
I'm not sharing
that's pretty terrible.
With fucking people, let alone without walls. I'm on the phone all day, Johnny. Who decided to make an office without walls for people on the phone all day?
Look, we get this. Like, I have this in my office, and then they put these phone booths in there, and I was just like, but that's not unique to, like, anyone can use a phone booth, so not every team has phone booths, so now we just get a bunch of randos, like, walking into our area. We're in a terrible time where people have just, they've lost their mind. Please, Johnny, give me cubicles back.
As I'm saying this, I'm bragging here. I am one of the most productive, hardworking people on my team. There are so many people who have taken the pandemic as the opportunity to just, I'm not one of these, like, everyone needs to come into the office people, but fucking people just don't come into the office anymore. They're literally 2/3 of people never come into the office. We have a need for 1/3 as much office space. What are we doing consolidating even more than we need to? I should be getting a bigger cubicle, not a desk, not even a cubicle. Anyway, this is After Dark. Johnny, the reason that I'm thinking about insurance, one, I put it off because of the pandemic. I'm always home. Gonna be that way for the foreseeable future. But I got my roof replaced. Shout out to State Farm or my roof replacement guy. I don't know which one of those people is the cooler one. My roof is 20 years old and has, I'm going to call it minor damage. I haven't seen it, but like my roof is not completely fucked up. There hasn't been like a hurricane here or anything. And State Farm, for my 20-year-old roof, they're paying like 70% of the replacement costs. So I'm in like this state where like, wait, insurance is like fucking awesome? What is going on? So it's making me want more insurance.
Real. And that doesn't sound real.
Like, I literally, because the roof is 20 years old, like you're supposed to replace your roof every like 20, 25 years. I expected because of the depreciation, they were going to give me $0. And I'm getting like $7,000. It's nuts.
That is crazy. I mean, I'm glad you're getting something.
Yeah, is insurance good, guys? I know health insurance isn't good. Is other insurance good?
I have no idea.
there's like no one has ever been paid out on a major video game collecting claim, so you'll never find any information on what's good and what's bad. You'll find so there are people who claim like Magic cards and comics, but they're all like relatively small claims. I want to see someone who's like, my house burned down, it was insured, here's my $300,000 Magic the Gathering collection, pay me, and that gets paid. And I can't find any stories like that. You'll see like people whining like, oh, my EDH deck got stolen at a Grand Prix and insurance didn't pay it out because they called it a mysterious disappearance. And like, I realized that like those decks can get expensive, but like, that's not the claim I'm looking for. I don't care about your EDH claim. I want like the house burned down. There's clear evidence of what happened to your collectibles and they decided to pay or not pay. It's so hard to find those stories.
It's true. And that's why I'm always leery on insurance. Like, can you get it? And even if you did, would it matter?
I mean, it would give me peace of mind even if I don't know 100% that it would get paid out. I feel this way. I mean, like, if there was a major theft with like a police report, or if my house burned down, which are the two main things that I would be concerned about, I feel like those would be the most likely to get paid. Like mysterious disappearance of your Magic deck at a thing where like, if like that guy didn't file a police report or anything, like I can understand why insurance doesn't pay that kind of thing out. When like they could be like, oh, did you misplace it? You didn't have your hands on it the whole time. So what happened there? But yeah, just if you cover fire and theft, that's right. It seems like those should get paid out easily. I'll have so much documentation on that kind of thing. Yeah,
I wonder.
I mean, I've got cameras all over my house. I'd literally have video footage of myself being robbed. They've got to pay me, Johnny.
Do they have to pay you?
Oh man, they paid for my roof. I mean, I wouldn't go through the same insurance company, but these fuckers paid for my roof for some reason. I was willing to accept $0 and be happy with them, and they're giving me $7,000.
Stop talking about it. Someone will hear you.
Dude, even my roofing guy was like, I can't believe they're fucking paying for this.
He's like, good on. I mean, he probably loved it. He's like, oh, sweet. That means I'm definitely getting paid.
Yeah. Anyway, so insurance is a major thing to go for next year. Also, shelving, I want to figure out, I can't crack the problem. I want to figure out quote unquote high volume shelving. I want shelves that I can stack together like in a solid cube and then pull out the shelf I need for less than, let's say less than $50,000. If you look up high volume shelving, it's all commercial shelving. So there's no IKEA solution for this. If IKEA made a shelf that you could pull out, like a relatively big bookcase that you could pull out, it would cost $200. But if you stack 3 of those next to each other, it suddenly becomes this commercial product. And like if you think of a Billy bookcase, you stack 3 of them next to each other and put them on casters, that's like a $7,000 commercial product. Yeah. It is nuts what they charge for that stuff. I want to figure out how to do it cheap, and the answer is going to be DIY. But I want to do it in a way that's not going to cause me a headache.
DIY. I would look into. I would look at libraries.
I mean, this is all the stuff I'm looking at. I'm looking at like restaurant suppliers. I'm looking at library bookcases. I mean, the answer I think is going to be. I look into this too. What?
I said I look into this all the time too, and I never
I've never found something that's like, oh yeah, this is it.
Yeah, I mean, you've seen me I've sent you pictures of like random bullshit that I find of shelves.
Yeah, and like they'll just be like Pinterest pictures. It won't be like a product you can buy. It'll just be like, check out this wall. This is fucking great, right?
But they are commercial products. I can tell that they're made, or there's like one photo that someone mocked up of like a device, but never was ever made it to production. It's infuriating.
Yeah, I mean, the answer I think is going to be flat pack furniture, and I'm going to throw casters on the bottom because everything else is going to be too expensive. Because like these real solutions for this thing are just so expensive. But then like it comes the thing like, what if my floor is not perfectly level and like my shelves loaded with games start rolling away? And I realize there's casters with brakes, but there's just like problems I got to solve. And I haven't figured it out yet. I'm hoping I could figure that out next year.
Yeah, casters were the reason I didn't go with casters is exactly that. None of my floors are exactly even. And like a lot of the ones I need have to have a track on top. because I looked into that, like ones that slide over the other ones and you can like kind of move them around. Yeah, my ceiling isn't all the same height either. So I've got uneven floors and then a weird ceiling. I'm like, cool. So this will never work for me. I basically need a brick square to make this happen, and with concrete floors. Great.
I mean, also my game room is my bonus room, which is above the garage. So it is the shittiest room in my house, which is probably the most likely to have uneven floors and issues like that. Also, my walls don't go up to my ceiling. I've got architectural challenges, Johnny. I'll let you know when I figure it out, but I've been working on it for a while, like poking around looking for a high volume shelving solution. The thing is, like, the obvious answer is like go to Lowe's, get a bunch of $2 cardboard boxes and stack them up. But I want something a little nicer than that, Johnny.
No, Tower, that's it. That's all you can do.
I mean, I've got these really useful boxes. I love really useful boxes. The thing is, like, if you stack those, if you just stack those up, those are like $20 boxes. So you put like those 3 wide and stack them to the ceiling. You're spending hundreds of dollars on those boxes. You might as well have bought a fancy shelf for that price.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Anyway, what do you got coming up next year?
I talked about what I'm going to do.
Okay.
Yeah, like the other thing that isn't the click buy part of collecting is just making sure all my collection is documented, because it feels really weird what I've been doing, like since my son has been born and like now that Collectors is kind of caught up, I just haven't had time. So it's like easy to buy, but not easy to like store. And I'm out of room, so things just get put where they get put. But this year I went through like all my systems and found out like which games are missing manuals. So I know the exact, like, okay, these games are actually missing manuals. I can log it in correctly. So I'm working on that, just getting everything known, like just cleaning up the collection, just doing a general, like, all right, know what the fuck is happening. Because my system before has been, Tyler, like, okay, these games go in these types of boxes. Okay, fill up that box. Now take a picture of that box and put that box with the other boxes. And then when someone's like, do you have these GBA games? I'm just like scrolling through pictures of the box. I'm like, okay, so the last time I organized those, that game wouldn't have been in there. So I have to go to the back of the pictures. The last 3 boxes where they're alphabetical. Like once I fill a box, I make that box alphabetical, and then every 3 boxes, I would then incorporate them alphabetically. And then after I hit like 3 boxes or whatever, I would or 5 boxes, I would feed it back into the main set. So it became this dumb loop. So now I actually don't need to worry about if things are so alphabetical, because I can be like, it's in box 12 and this is the name. Doesn't really matter because it's alphabetical in my database. So that's a relief. That's what I'm working towards.
All right. I hope we both get more organized next year, I will say.
Yeah. I mean, that's the point of this year. Just get more organized.
Or we could forget about that and just click buy a lot more.
I mean, clicking buy is a lot of fun. Like, don't pretend it isn't.
I mean, it releases the most,
get them endorphins.
Yeah. Endorphins? Is that the word I was looking for?
Yeah. The little pleasure dopamine. You probably want dopamine.
Dopamine. What are endorphins? Because I was going to say endorphins, and I'm like, wait, is that the sex thing? Endorphins are chemicals your body releases when it feels pain or stress. Uh-oh, is Ada pinging me? Like, what are you talking about? Are you an idiot? Okay.
Are you an idiot?
Is it good to release endorphins? When released, endorphins help relieve pain, reduce stress, and may cause a euphoric feeling. Or maybe it's endorphins. I'm just going to cut this that I don't know what endorphins are.
Okay. You meant dopamine, but endorphins, I think, also.
Yeah.
Dopamine is probably an endorphin.
And then if you do it too much, it causes the stress, and then you need more endorphins to be released. Therefore, you should click buy it now more, and then start letting your objects consume you and wreck your finances. And then all of a sudden you're in despair. But what you can always do when you're in despair is buy another video game. This must be how gambling addicts work. I mean, this is probably exactly how gambling addiction works.
This is how addiction works.
Oh, Tyler. Yeah.
Yeah. There you go.
I love. I recently learned that there was a study on people who drink coffee in the morning are more productive. They're more productive workers because of the caffeine.
Did you watch the same thing I did, where they talked about how caffeine, one of the biggest changes in the world, became a better place because of caffeine?
No, this is not the same thing because they redid the study, controlling for people who don't drink coffee, so they weren't addicted to caffeine, and the effect was entirely just relieving withdrawal symptoms. So, yeah. Oh, I'm addicted to caffeine too, by the way, so that's good.
Same. So they did a study. This is the thing I was watching. I mean, that's totally after dark, but they did a study where they were looking at, not a study, but they were looking at like France and like the Age of Enlightenment and like things that contributed to that. And they were talking about how the water, because people were drinking a lot more wine and like ales and things, but the minute they figured out, oh, you could make like tea, right? You could boil a water and then the water both becomes safer, but also then there's caffeine in the water. Like the minute they realized that, the world became a better place. So yeah, there's some loose studies on that. I haven't watched enough of that documentary yet to really tell you. So give me time.
All right, cool. What do we?
I think that's it. I think we did the thing. Unless you wanted to hear about any eBay stuff. Like, are you curious at all?
Oh my god, this episode's been so long already. Can you give me like the top 3 insights from your eBay stuff, or we could just do it another time?
We can do it another time if you want, or we can just save it for an after dark. I'll give you some highlights. My most expensive year was 2018, and that's because, like what I said, I was finishing up all those sets, including Super Nintendo, and it was $12,000. My cheapest,
because your kid is also 4 years old. So
yes. So this tracks, right?
Yes.
Once I knew my wife was pregnant, I was like, oh shit, spend all the money because we're not going to have any. My total spend from 2003, where I spent a mere $9 on video games, like from eBay. This is again only eBay, and that's like I only went to eBay to buy things as like maybe to play, but mostly to collect. Really, that picks up in 2006, where I spent $858. But yeah, eBay. I started collecting in 2004, really, and I only spent $300. And then 2005, I discovered like where all my local stores were, so I spent only like $28. But in 2006, I realized like I'd kind of done what I could locally without more help, and then started relying on eBay. So 2006 is a turning point year where I spent almost $1,000 on games, and then every year it's just like I bounce back between, oh my god, I spent too much, I need to slow down. So like each year you like see like maybe 1 or 2 years of growth, and then like a regression in my spending because I realize I've spent, and then it like slowly ticks back up until I hit too much, and then another regression. That's been my whole spending pattern. But this year, I'm in 2 straight years of regression, Tyler. In 2020, I spent $8,000. 2021, I spent $7,000, and this year I only spent $5,000.
All right. Hey, trending in the right direction, I guess, for living a healthy life. You know what? I mean, maybe something everyone listening to this show needs to listen to, but like your life's probably getting healthier if you're spending less on video games year to year.
Probably. I mean, depends where that money goes instead, right? Like maybe you became a drug addict completely and like stopped caring about games, and like cocaine ruined your life.
I mean, it's one drug versus another, but yes. I mean, like for me, it like video game spending is not like something completely problematic in my life, especially since I've like really focused on the things I want rather than buying everything under the sun. Really, my buying everything under the sun phase was the things I was interested in were so cheap that it was not significantly like affecting my finances or anything. Like when I was going nuts on like NES cartridges because I wasn't a complete in box guy, like those have always been really cheap. And then like going after like things like Xbox, that has always been really cheap. The thing that's ruined my life most has been RuneScape or Path of Exile. And like I recognized that and put a stop to both of those for now.
Nice work.
Thanks.
Hey, do you want, I got a couple more, I got some quick hitters. I'll just like,
yeah, give me some quick hitters.
All right. What system, and this is going to be fairly obvious, what system do you think I've spent the most on? over my whole eBay career. And mind you, I bought out. There's several channels I bought outside of this. So,
man, you're gonna ask me, and it's not gonna be Super Nintendo. I mean Super Nintendo, Johnny.
Super Nintendo, you got it.
Okay,
Super Nintendo came in around $13,000 and about 500 unique objects for Super Nintendo.
All right, 13,500 unique objects.
Yeah,
that's not that bad.
Yeah.
Especially since there's probably a lot of good stuff in there that you went to eBay for.
Yep. All right. NES is number 2 with 344 unique objects and $10,000. So the average cost of the game is a little worse. But can you guess the third one? Can you guess what my number 3 would be?
Man, you have some dumb Game Boy? Is it just Game Boy? That's not very interesting.
No, it's not Game Boy.
You have some really good Game Boy stuff, though.
I do have some good Game Boy stuff, but it's not.
Is it something dumb is it like Wii?
No, it is not Wii.
Okay, what is
it? Let's see. Wii is in the top 8 out of a category that includes 55 categories. Wii is in the top 8.
Okay. Well, what's number 3, Johnny?
TurboGrafx 16.
What?
Yep.
I feel like you don't talk about that a lot. And there's only there's 100 games, 130 games, something.
So, and I only bought 53 of them from eBay.
Jesus.
But there was
that beats Super Nintendo buying 53 Turbo games versus 350? Damn.
500 Super Nintendo objects, 350 NES objects, 53 TurboGrafx 16.
And you bought your Magical Chase from Stefan, so that's not in there. That's crazy. All right.
Because the top end of Turbo is gross. Number 4 is kind of obvious. It's Genesis. And PS1 rounds out our top 5. GBA hits 6, and Game Boy is 7. But that is just, I want to just stress, that is just the totals based on quantity. That is not the averages. Tyler, would you like to hear the averages?
Sure, Johnny. Give me them
okay,
averages.
Well, you want to top, because...
No, you spend so much time on this data. Give me the averages for what you spent on each game or each console since 2003.
Okay, so we'll sort top to bottom here. And the big top... it's actually wrong, because 32X, I bought a lot of games. I bought almost the whole complete 32X set back in 2006, and it was $245. So, yeah.
For the entire set, not average, right?
Right. Yeah. But it was a lot, so this data doesn't break down lots that were 5 and 6 games, because I do have a lot of that. So it just counts it as one object. So yeah, but excluding that, TG16 is the highest average, at 166. And then with a very small sample size, LCD games, because all the LCD games about were kind of weird and expensive. Like the Slaughter, oh my God, what is it? Slaughter. Jesus,
yep, it's Slaughterhouse. You're thinking of the right game. Definitely Slaughterhouse, okay, Johnny.
Okay, Jesus. Anyways, yeah. So that one was
Johnny,
expensive. So what?
Johnny, it's Splatterhouse.
Splatterhouse. Thank God damn. I was just am I wrong? It's late. My brain is tired. Yeah. Virtual Boy got an average of 86. Apple II. A lot of small sample sizes, so they don't really count. The big ones. Obviously, Game Boy comes in. It's got a high average. There's 101 Game Boy objects, and it's a $56 average, which makes sense. Anyways, right. I just thought, one, it's important to look at averages, but also sometimes a small sample size can fuck up an average. So it's important to look at both quantity and averages, guys. Draw your curve and cut out the outliers to really focus in that information. So you don't just get oh yeah, I guess I bought 2 LCD games and they have a high average like that, and then get the name of those games wrong completely. So that was good.
Yep. So you guys you can request your full history of eBay purchase data. It takes them 2 weeks to get back to you with this big spreadsheet. And then Johnny manually categorized all this bullshit. And I'm sure he used scripts or whatever to figure out oh, this is Xbox, this is PlayStation. But yeah, I'm never going to go through all that work, so I'm never going to have a comparison for the state of Johnny.
I really didn't use any scripts. You know what I did?
What'd you do?
Was I just like put a filter on the title and then just like filter Xbox. Okay, here's all the Xbox games. I just literally did manual filters because there's not that many.
A bunch of manual.
Yep. It was semi manual. It wasn't too bad. It didn't take me too long. And plus I was kind of enjoying just looking at it. The goal wasn't to get through it as fast as I could. The goal was to like take a look at it, that's not the same goal.
Yeah.
Anyways, there you go. We did it, guys. That's it. That was our year. Hope you guys had a great year. I'm curious what you guys have shifted in. So if you have some goals that you have abandoned, let me know. And that's the other thing that I like to put at the end of the year. If a goal isn't working or a goal is bad or doesn't work for your current situation, don't be afraid to just say like pause or goodbye to that goal. Don't be a slave to what you wrote down on a sheet of paper or thought you were going to do. Just like, even if that you're just tracking that in your head, feel free to pivot when necessary. Don't let yourself be trapped by ideas that you made when your situation was different.
I mean, so both of that and like you should periodically reevaluate to see if you are meeting your goals or if you are failing. So
absolutely,
if you're making those dumb $20 purchases constantly and you look at your list of goals and it's like, my list was to collect the Konami NES set and I have purchased 2 games and it is now May, then I mean, it could be that you need to drop the goal or that you need to realize that you're failing to meet your goals because at some point you decided the Konami NES set was the thing you wanted the most.
Correct. Yeah. Excellent advice. True. And, that's not just for video game collecting. I think that's like a good general, both of those things are good general tips for all goals in life, no matter what you're doing. Spend time evaluating how you got there, if it's still a good goal, and then if it's not working, why? Just take a good hard look at yourself. It's not the end of the world to fail either. Remember that failure is but a tool to keep learning, and readjusting a goal doesn't mean like, even though I just said failure is fine, like readjusting a goal isn't a failure. That's, failure is not recognizing that you needed to readjust the goal. So
sure.
Try and take a look at that. Make good choices and let us know what your goals are and what you may have reevaluated over the past couple of years, because the last few years in video game collecting has been wild, and the ride is shifting right now. I'm curious where we are next year.
Very, very curious. Yes. Man, I realize like computer games have also gone up in value, and even like the Japanese stuff I'm collecting has gone up, but not being in the shit of like the craziest stuff, like not buying, I don't know, Super Mario Brothers, whatever the craziest prices are. I'm sure like PS2 games have gone up tons of value. It's been so good. So guys, get out of the shit. If there is things you are interested in collecting that isn't like ridiculously expensive, it feels so good to not care about what's happening in like the main part of the game market. What am I? PS2 still $13 average a game. I realize there's a lot of cheap games, but
the Wii. Go get them Wii games.
No, keep buying these PS2 games. What am I talking about? I'm looking at like the section of like $20 to $40 PS2 games. Oh, there's some good stuff in there. Klonoa 2 is less than $40. Yeah, never mind. Keep collecting PS2. Forget what I'm talking about.
Look, here's my advocacy for PS3. Smaller cases, easier to put on a shelf. Let's do this.
Okay, let me give you 2 big reasons not to collect PS3. One is the case change from the big 3 to the PS3 logo.
Oh, yeah, that's gross.
That's just as bad as the TurboGrafx change. 2, eco cases. Ooh.
Are the PS3, do they have eco cases?
They must have. PS3 games were made into like the mid 2010s, right?
Yeah,
when I think eco cases, I think Xbox 360. So if PS3 didn't have them, it's actually, I'm going to change my opinion 180. If PS3 doesn't have eco cases, strongly recommend collecting PS3 then.
Well, the other reason maybe I don't notice them as much is because the length of a Wii case, of a DVD style case, is greater, so that eco case takes up more room and makes it flimsier. The smaller more compact nature of the PS3 case would affect it less.
You are correct. PS3 cases definitely feel a lot better than an Xbox 360 case by comparison.
And even some of the DS Eco cases feel awful. The 3DS Eco cases feel worse because they made those cases, like, people think, oh, it's the same size as the DS case. It's not. It's really like, I don't know, 2/3 or maybe half the size, like the width of a DS case. So, like the spine width, take a look. It is different.
So I Googled PS3 Eco case, and I didn't find any image results that look like a bullshit case. When you Google like Xbox Eco case, it immediately brings up like how shitty those cases are. Maybe there aren't Eco cases on PS3.
That would be...
Maybe collect PS3, Johnny.
Maybe.
Also, Strange is in our Discord being like, I feel like maybe I should collect PS3, and now we're going to be talking about it and be like, maybe collect PS3.
I was talking to it with a couple other collectors, but mainly a Mr. CIB, and I was like, man, PS3 might be more interesting. And like Kanakis also brought it up. So, there's been discussions. I'm curious where people go. All right. Tyler, let's move. Do we have collector's questions? Do you want to do them? Do you want to just abandon this episode where it is? We don't really need to talk about what we bought since we just spent a whole episode doing that.
Kanakis asks, is it Kanakis or Nakis? Someone called him Nakis in our...
I know, and I thought
been
the
calling
same
him
thing.
Kanakis.
Me too, but we're probably wrong.
I think I've done it because you call him Kanakis. Anyway,
and I
tell
do
us.
it because I'm a basic bitch, and I just saw a K, and I'm like, Kanak!
Oh, man, if it's Nakis. What do you think about CGC getting integrated video games? Whatever, great if it lowers prices. I think their cases are really good with the bubbled out corners. Until like grading stuff is super cheap and it doesn't have like ridiculous months long turnaround, it's not something I'm going to be doing even for sealed stuff. That's all I have to say. I don't know. It's another grading company. This might have been asked before. Certain boxes just contain codes. Are they collectible? And if so, does it matter if they are used or not? Bearing in mind, old codes may expire. This is
such a hot debate.
Personally, I would not care if the code was used because I'm never going to use the code anyway.
No.
But if there's a scratch off code, I would want it unscratched.
Interesting.
I don't collecting these digital things. Like if there's a box that just has a code in it. Personally, for me, I don't think it's collectible. But I don't think I'm going to rail too hard against it. For the collector's editions, for like the $300 ones, like that's fucking ridiculous if it doesn't come with a physical copy of the game. But when you're just buying like, $30 game at Walmart and it's like a fake copy of the game, but it's the only way to get a game and it comes with a code, I don't want that. But because so few people are ever going to collect this and they will never turn up on the secondary market, I think it's worth collecting if you're like a real enthusiast.
So how do you feel about it not being like, for instance, like the Switch cases with just a code in it? Is that really any different than where we are with computers, or even with like PS5 games where the disc does nothing but spin up and make the computer down or make the console download something?
I mean,
is a piece of paper physical media?
Oh, shut up, Johnny. As long as there's a disc, I mean, there's the feeling that you're getting something more. The fact that a bunch of games literally just use the disc as DRM and then download the game, I don't consider that a reason not to buy the game so much as I consider that a reason that the console in general might be less collectible. Like as like the physical media like stops.
But that doesn't matter with computer games.
What do you mean?
Like lots of PC games just have they're just dead objects in there. Their data is worn out of the old discs. They're never going to play.
I mean, well, if you're talking about like floppy disks.
Yeah.
I mean, you could rewrite a floppy disk. If you rewrite them, they are just as good. Most disks aren't bad. They're just like data wears out or whatever. But I mean, we're getting besides the point. Is it, don't stop with these devil's advocate is a piece of paper media. You know that a disc matters and a piece of paper does not matter, Johnny.
Why?
Because a disc is plastic and the paper is paper.
Is a book a piece of media? It goes media mail. It must be media.
Ah!
And is not a book just a bunch of pieces of paper? You can send scraps of paper media mail because they consider it media. You can send an article, a one-page article or a leaflet media mail because it's considered a piece of media.
You can't send a video game media mail because they don't consider it media sometimes.
I know, which is insane, but never mind. I mean, it just has to do with what the service was originally designed to deal with, but who gives a shit about that?
Yeah.
Anyways, but if you're talking about what is media, paper is media, isn't it?
Johnny, there's going to be someone actually in a thread arguing this stuff, like when like the Switch fights happen over what counts for the set. A piece of paper is media. What matters differently? I
know. I'm giving them the ammunition they need to fight you.
I am so uninterested in having this. I mean, I'm interested in watching the debate, but like I don't feel strongly on either side. If for me, like the Switch set is where this really matters in particular. But like there will be a separate list of all the DLC only games that if you want to collect it, you can collect it. It'll be like the GBA videos set, where some people are just like, I don't need 20 episodes of SpongeBob in my GBA set.
No, I definitely don't. Those aren't games, but these are games, Tyler.
Yeah,
they're games.
I think the real thing.
Some of them are whole games, Tyler. They're whole games sitting on a little code.
I mean, you could collect the little cards you buy off the wall at Walmart too. Guess what, Johnny? The older like Switch download cards, they had codes printed directly on the card. But the newer ones, you have to get the receipts for when you check out. So there are two pieces of media to collect now because you need the card and you need the receipt now. But you need both variants, of course.
Except those are loose, and I don't want them. I need all of my games to come in a box.
The thing anyone listening to this show should take away is if you even have the slightest inclination that you will ever care about this download card only stuff, you need to buy it now. As someone who is actively searching for like Minecraft gift card variants, basically, they never, ever come up. Used or new, you cannot find this download card only stuff because no one thinks to sell it. So if there is some stupid Switch game that only comes as a download and you're like wobbling on it, you need to buy it now. And because they are so scarce and coming up on the secondary market, you will probably find that crazy person you can sell it to if you need to in the future. But this stuff doesn't come back up for sale. It is really frustrating as someone who has become interested in like a small aspect of this download card only market beyond when it has been like a thing I could just go to Walmart and buy.
Yeah, Josh Byerly incepted you. So let's talk about, just for 1 second, the takeaway on game cases, specifically Switch, that say they have a download code only in them. There are some like Minecraft, some big ones, Fire Emblem, that like you will see in your Best Buy, but a lot of them are like really junk games like James Pond and this Santa Claus game, and they mainly were released through GameStop for like $10 to $15. And I think those are the kind of things that eventually will just get thrown away. But if the mind share ever shifts and says these are in fact games and those codes are, that piece of paper in the case is no different than a disc in the case, then those are going to be hard to find.
I mean, if it's anything like gift card variants, like literally impossible, Johnny.
I don't think it's going to be as bad as that because they're in full cases.
I mean, just because it's Switch, I think, yeah, it won't be that bad. No. But those early Switch, the download cards for like Breath of the Wild, the ones where you have to scratch off the back.
Yeah,
I am sure there are thousands of those sitting around like people's Switch cases, just like people are like, oh, I'll keep the Zelda card, that's fine. They will never sell them. They will never come to the market. I want one of those cards from fucking Walmart. I will pay $60 for one. I'll pay full price for Breath of the Wild. I'll never get it. It doesn't matter. So it's I'm happy that I like don't super care about this. Like I would try to keep this on the down low if I really cared about this stuff. But yeah. It is definitely something I've noticed. And yeah, Josh Byerly, definitely someone who knows like, oh yeah, I want all this stuff because this stuff never comes back to the market. Yeah. All right.
Okay. I think we're done with questions. Like, right? We're
done with questions. Well, this is like a 3-part question. Are you worried that you might run out of space for your collection? And if so, how do you plan on dealing with it?
Dude, already ran out of space. We both ran out of space ages ago.
I mean, the way to deal with it is pack up cardboard boxes and stack them, because these are all rectangles. They don't take up a lot of space when you really pack them together.
Yeah, I put them in. I have like 2 specific tote sizes that I use, single stack only, and I get them both from Target. I'm happy to show anybody them. I advocate for them and get Target all kinds of sales. Me and VG Collectaholic, we're of the same mind here, Mr. CIB too. These totes are great. They fit most brands of games between these 2 boxes pretty well. And yeah, single stack, guys. Don't pack your boxes like 2 and 3 deep, because if you just have a single stack and a little lid you can pull off, you can just take it out and you're like, oh, these are the games that are in there. You don't ever have to pick them up, handle them, damage them. Single stack, please. Please take my learnings. I wish I would have known this 10 years ago.
All right. Johnny, what are you buying? What are you playing?
We
I know you don't think we're doing it, but we're doing it.
Why?
Oh, well, you know what? I haven't been playing much.
Yeah. I played some Jedi Fallen Order. I played through Final Fantasy 1 on Steam. I'm gonna play another Final Fantasy game, I think, maybe 2. Like actual 2, not Final Fantasy 4/2 in the US.
Johnny, you sure love Final Fantasy.
I do love Final Fantasy. It's a favorite, and like I got a lot of the weird Castlevania stuff that I love. I have a lot of the weird Zelda stuff I like. Now I need some weird Final Fantasy stuff. That's why I want to get that MSX copy. I got it for like the Wonder Swan and stuff. I want to get a Wonder Swan console. That's one of the things I'm going to get next year. They've got these console boxes for the Wonder Swan color that had Final Fantasy packed in, and it's got like Final Fantasy artwork on it. Pretty cool.
Yeah, that's always something I saw at conventions that I would call, I would have called at the time, like, oh, that's like this thing they buy from Japan, jack up the price like literally 1,000%, and they're just like, here you go, stupid Americans, it says Final Fantasy on it, buy it. And probably the like joke prices I saw 10 years ago are probably like the price it is now. I honestly don't know how much those consoles cost, but I would see them all the time at like MagFest.
So they're like $100 to $200 depending on which version, because they have a couple of different consoles. They have a Chocobo console. I'm gonna mess up their name, and I want to get it right because they were nice enough to answer me quickly, and I've bought from them before. So, Forgotten Freshness.
Oh yeah, Forgotten Freshness rules.
Yeah, they're great. Which is why I wanted to make sure I got their name right. But they got the Chocobo racing console in, which is harder to find, and it comes in like a plastic blister. And I was like, oh man, that thing is so awesome. And it just wasn't $1,300 awesome. I mean,
what the fuck? Okay.
Yeah. Like, if it would have been like 400, 500, yeah. But I mean, they're pretty, like, you can find them. It's like a yellow Wonder Swan, and it's Japan only. You can find them, like, the console loose, but because it was like a blister pack, seeing a sealed one is a lot harder to find. So I get it. But also I was like, oh my God, my goal is to be spending less, not more. And I just like, what is this Wonder Swan for a Chocobo game actually do for my goals? Right. Besides me being like, oh, this is so sweet. And it's $1,300. There's a lot of cool stuff I want. So I'm not doing it.
That would have me doing the real A-B of like, what's cooler? Like, what is cooler to just see on my shelf? A Chocobo Racing Wonder Swan console or the MSX Final Fantasy with like the Final Fantasy 1 art on it? And the answer is the MSX Final Fantasy, which I'm sure was $1,000 cheaper, more than that. So, yeah.
No, I mean, it was like, I think, I don't know what I'm going to pay overall, but I think it's like $500 or $600.
That's the fuck, Johnny? That is so expensive. What the fuck?
That's the going rate for Final Fantasy for the MSX. That's not like,
that's ridiculous.
It's the weird rare thing. So, and I love Final Fantasy, so I said, yeah, I'm going to get it. I've literally been looking to get one like offhandedly for over a decade. And I finally was just like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm doing this. Like over a decade, maybe 15 years I've been like looking at that game when I first found out about it, being like, I should buy this. And then we talked about it more. I was like, I really am going to buy this. So I just reached out to Red the Game Shark. That's Red the Game Shark. If you need cheap games that are imports, contact Red because he's got cheap games over at cheap games. All right.
Apparently fucking not, because it's $600 or $500.
But that's probably $400 cheaper than the next one.
I mean, there are multiple on eBay, which makes me think like it's probably not the rarest thing in the world. But yeah, they're all like $900. This is ridiculous.
But they're all the same one, and a lot of them like have actually already been sold. And these people, because they're just importers, you know, that game, they just haven't taken down their auctions yet. So if you bought it, your purchase would be canceled.
That's crazy. All right.
Yep.
I could see why you didn't talk about the price on that one.
I mean, you know me. I'm not shy about telling people what I paid. I'm an insane person. I don't recommend. Here's how insane I am. You guys want to know what I've spent on eBay on games? And like, mind you, I bought a lot of shit on eBay, but just games. Since 2003, I spent $88,000.
Hey, all right. I mean, hey, you probably made good purchases there, and
I did.
You're a gaming millionaire now, Johnny. Congratulations.
I probably not, but that's, mind you, this is like 20 years of gaming. So over 20 years, I've spent this much.
I mean, when you put it in that perspective, it doesn't sound that bad.
No,
but that's mostly tempered out by you spending less on the earlier years and more in the later years.
So if I was to go from like 2007, where I'm spending over $1,000 consistently, the yearly average is about $5,000.
All right. I'm not,
which is a lot.
I don't know how much I spend, but I'm not going to tell everyone how much I spend and have people judge my spending habits.
I mean, look, I know that number. Look, I know people are going to hear my number and be like, that is fucking ridiculous and out of touch, but that's what I spend my money on. I don't drink. I don't smoke. I don't go to elaborate dinners. And for a long time, you know, for most of these years, it was just my wife and I, who are both professionals. So it was like, fuck it. We don't have a child to spend our money on. So let's just do whatever we want. And, you know, also I'm not 20. I'm not even 30. I'm 44 now. So, you know, I'm not at the start of my career. I'm like embedded in my career. So, you know, my situation is a lot different than others. So if you hear my numbers and you're like, this is fucking ridiculous. Yeah, just know that my situation is a little bit different. And back in the day when I was spending money on games, man, I used to hustle my ass off. Remember, I'm always a guy who held like 2 jobs most of my life and always did other things to pay for the things I was doing. So that's how I got here.
Yeah. So you might want to just like buy some sealed games, send them to WADA, send them to Heritage Auctions. Johnny, I hear this is a good way to make some extra money these days.
Yeah, had I been forward thinking as a younger collector and I had done any of that stuff, because I knew about a lot of this stuff, but I was never like, I want to make money off games. It's not really was ever my goal. Had I been, man, I could have been rolling in it. You could have too, Tyler. You were smart and knew a lot of things. If we had just been a little more like willing to capitalize on that.
There is no way, Johnny. I bought a complete in-box copy of Super Mario Brothers in like 2018, I think, because that game was such trash. It's so common that I had no interest. I didn't even own a copy of Super Mario Brothers.
Because you figured when you wanted one, it would always be there.
Exactly. So, I mean, there's no way I would have been forward-thinking enough.
I'm not saying you could have been, like, I'm just saying you could have been, not that you were, you could have been. And we had the conversations. I said, what do we think is more important? I've always been in the not stadium events camp, like hoisted by my own petard for sure. You know, I've been on that bandwagon for a long time that I would rather a Mario be the most expensive game. And here we fucking are. And boy, I didn't expect the landscape to be this when we got here, but hey, we got there. Yeah. So, you know, that's, it is what it is. No changing it.
All right. We got anything else, Johnny?
I don't think so. I know you're like, oh my God, can we get off the topic of money? Putting people off so hard.
Everyone's unsubscribing.
Yeah. I mean, if they are in hour 4 of this podcast, they probably already unsubscribed. Anyways, no, that's it for the show. Tyler, where can they find you?
Default GEN or Default GEN on the Instagram and Video Game Stage, I guess, or Discord.
Yep. And I'm Johnny_Iucci, and you can find me on Instagram occasionally and mainly on our Discord, which you can get to by becoming a Patreon of the show for as little as $2, and that gets you access to the Discord, or as much as $6, which gets you, not such great things. It gets you the bonus content, but really $4 also gets you the bonus content, so that's your sweet spot. I would pick the $4 tier if I was doing a cost evaluation, unless you love us and just like, this is too cheap and I want to pay you money, then go up to the $6. But I don't recommend
We only
that.
give you 2 episodes a month. It's not that much.
Yeah. Don't worry. When that 4-hour after dark hits, people are going to know.
I don't think I have time to even listen to that as just like a quick edit before I leave for the holidays.
So hope we didn't say anything too objectionable in that one. All right. That's our show. Thanks for listening so much. And I hope you guys all have a really nice holiday, or since this is probably past tense, I hope your holiday was really nice and you all have a wonderful new year and your lives are all looking up and it's on to bigger and better things. All right. Thanks so much. That's it. Bye.
That is our show. All right. Errata for the Wii episode. MP3 in the Discord has informed me that the Wii slightly worse than GameCube video output is due to a software bug that can 1, be fixed if you mod your Wii, and 2, it was fixed in the hardware with CPU 40. I don't know what that means, but that means that later Wiis are not affected, meaning, ultimately, Wii is the ultimate GameCube if the video quality is on par or better than the GameCube, whatever it is. So I'm sorry for trashing the Wii. Everybody should be using a Wii as your GameCube. Don't spend $300 on GameCube component cables and HDMI mods. I don't know. GameCube has a handle. We can't compete with that. Otherwise, in this episode, I'm pretty sure I said Pokemon Box Ruby and Silver instead of Ruby and Sapphire. If you caught that, you are today's pedantic Peter. You win. Thank you to 8-Bit, APEBit, 8bit.bandcamp.com. He does our intro music. And thank you to the patrons. I'm under a serious time crunch tonight. So, the patrons are just getting read straight off the Patreon. Andy Hagans, Joshua Byerly, Brett Jones, Chris Minoche, Cedric Clark, Sean Racine, Kevin Zaker, Joshua Gelb, Jeremy Madsen, Jackson Keebler, Darius Sadat, Mark Halstead, John Brown, Cameron Couch, Living in Bits, Chris Shipley, NZ Collector, GBO Metric, Nicholas DiMaggio, MP3 Man giving us the Wii tips. You guys should love Wii as much as GameCube. Adam Kavanaugh, Christopher Piper, Valdor the Great, Joseph Garris, Double Ugly, Andrew Shelton, Chefish, Joseph Leo, Chesno, Mr. Sib, Jeff Russell, Ben Parker, The New Craft, Brandon Ackley, Kalen McAteer, Reed Stubenik, Sam Marks, Colby. It is so weird saying these without all your nicknames, by the way. Jeff Pierce, Bruno, Connor Strange, Don Libby, Zaventorian, David Green, Joseph Rogers, Daniel Jacksvick, Jonathan Shados, all caps, Corhagen, GameRave.com. Man, this is way faster than saying all your nicknames, though. Danny Gomez, Brian Gupta, Nick Morgan, Matt Fall, Derek Lauer, Sean LaCroix, Dork Overlord, Brandon Rogers, The Gamer Collective, Andrew Brim, Andre, Chris Glidden, Fiji Collectaholic, Colton Murphy, Coffee with Mr. Saturn, Lance. I've never had to say your last name. Lance Zeligman, Mora Bros, Benny G, Corey O'Brien, Red the Game Shark, Peaceful Games, Tim Walker, 0x Def Code, Retro, RPG Podcast, Tex, Will Joe, Platform Agnostic, Sonic the Kid, Retro Game Enthusiast, Daniel McArdle, Michael Chiaramonte, Andrew O, Chris Jackson, Dustin Beagle, Jeremy Jarvis, Joseph Champitty, Chris Rozek, Justin Chichio, Bird Dog Gaming, and Richard Bowden. Did I go in backwards order? Rich Bowden, patron since January 10th, 2021. That's why he's called Richard, patron number 1 Bowden. Thank you guys so much. Is it Richard Bowden? It might be Richard Bowden.